America?
We love being here so much, John.
Your country just keeps getting weirder every time you visit. Every time you visit, I want to ask you about some new
So
video.
does yours, brother. Let's be honest.
Guilty as charged. I think we're really close to like proof that the simulation is real. I think this is why things are so preposterous.
Do you know, I try and argue against that, and then I see what's happening in all our countries, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. Probably you've got a point now.
Yeah, you know when I really started, we were actually talking about this yesterday. I really started to genuinely consider it. Like one of those where I snuck in through my defenses, my logical defenses, when this girl, Heather McDonald, blacked out on stage while she was making jokes about being vaccinated, and then she blacks out and cracks her skull. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Legitimately. It was the first time in my life where I was like, they're fucking with us.
Yeah.
They're just fucking. That can't be so dead on. Like, this is like God is a scriptwriter. Like, how is that a real thing? That's a video where someone she didn't do it when she was making fun of her boyfriend. She didn't do it when she was talking about idiots in traffic. It was when she was talking about the vaccine. And how, I even still got my period, so Jesus loves me more. Like, there's no way. It's too good. The timing was exquisite. You couldn't have, if you had a movie where that was a scene, you could not have scripted or timed it any better. Where you would tell her, and there's no way. I started legitimately wondering then, and I know that's a stupid example. I'm very aware. I feel like, you fucking moron. All the things in the world, there's plenty of examples. God, Jesus loves me the most.
So nice.
Look at this. I mean, and the audience is laughing. Probably the best laugh she got all night, right? Because it's a big move. It's a big move. You know, if you're a pratfall person, no one expects it. Like, that's hilarious. If it goes with the bit, you know?
And it's timed perfectly, absolutely. What's that quote? God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh.
Who said that?
It was either, I've said it, and it's either Voltaire or Camus. I can't remember which one.
Jamie will find out.
Yeah, but that's the quote. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh.
If that happened to me...
Voltaire?
There you go.
If that happened to me, my Russian grandmother would be just like, God is punishing you.
Yeah, and that's why Russians are scary to fight. They're harder people. They're harder people.
No, you'll learn lesson.
Yeah. We have business to discuss.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It just seems fake. You know, there's so much that seems fake. You know, it's like all the news, just the people that are politicians. Everyone feels like they're all, like, who's the Fetterman character? This guy is wearing a hoodie and shorts. That's the wacky neighbor. You know, and then Jasmine Crockett, she's that loudmouth lady from down the street, and they're like, oh, here comes Jasmine. Shit's gonna get crazy. You know, and Maxine Waters, like, oh, she's all, leave her alone. It's like, these are fake people. Nancy Pelosi, this giant-tittied lady who wants all the money, who's been in politics for 150 years. There's pictures of her with Kennedy.
I didn't realize Nancy Pelosi was well endowed.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Really?
Yeah.
You've done the research.
Well, there's all these photos where people are calling her, what's a gilf? A grandma you'd like to... Yeah. You never seen her boobs?
No, I have never seen Nancy Pelosi's boobs, Joe.
No disrespect, Mrs. Pelosi. I admire her for her stock choices, but...
Fantastic.
Those are legit.
You know, I gotta say, this is a great start to the podcast, and we aren't even stoned.
How did you not know? How did you not know that you're a grown man? Look at the size of those fucking sweater hammers.
That is incredible. That has made me a lot more in favor of Congress.
So is
right
that?
now.
Wow.
Hold on. Go to that last
This
picture.
one might not have been. But
That seems fake, but it might be like from the Clinton administration. See, these deep state vampires.
I really thought you were going to go somewhere else. When you said deep, I went, this is going somewhere. I didn't expect that.
These deep state vampires, as hot as Nancy Pelosi used to be. Deep state vampire, no disrespect, Nancy Pelosi. They've been around in the system forever. Like the relationships that those people make and the control that they establish and the Rolodex. And I got shit on Lindsay and Lindsay's got shit on this guy. And it's like, Jesus.
It's a fucking dirty business, man. Oh, it's crazy.
Bro, it's the dirtiest. It's the dirtiest business. It's the dirtiest business in the world.
You know what I think now that when I look at politics and you look at wrestling, and I remember criticizing like people who watch soap operas. I remember just going, oh, they're so dumb. And I remember my ex going to me, she went, Francis, you like soccer. That's just soap opera, but for men. And when you think about it, it kind of is. We just buy into our different soap operas.
Except soccer's happening for real, and the soap opera is just a dumb pretend of a goofy life that's not real.
Yeah, but politics is kind of soap opera for like adults.
Yeah, sure. I think it's teams for adults for sure. For
It
people
is
that
teams.
don't like sports, it becomes like a giant part of their. It's like a guy with a Cubs hat. You know, I'm fucking Chicago Cubs till I die. Till I die, bro. Chicago Cubs. One day we're gonna pull it up. Like people in Chicago, they fucking deliver. You'll fight you in Philadelphia if you don't like the Eagles. They will fight you. Like if you go to a Philadelphia Eagles game and you're from another team, they will beat your fucking ass, and it happens all the time. And that's crazy. You're both Americans. Like this is the dumbest thing of all time. Like one's from a different city, so they're your enemy because they support a different football team. We do it with everyone.
I know you find that shocking, Joe, but in England and Britain, that is like run-of-the-mill. So in the 70s and 80s, each football team, and to some extent now, they had their own what's called a firm, which are these hooligans whose only thing, they didn't really give a shit about the football, the soccer. They would get together with the supporters of the firms of other teams to have fights in the car park outside the stadium. And they would travel all around the country doing that.
Yeah.
So it's actually this one thing I love about American sports. Like you can go to the game with your kids and not worry about the stuff that people are going to be screaming and shouting,
Yeah.
and all that violence. You are a lot more chilled out than we are in Europe about that stuff, believe it or not.
Oh, I do believe it. I do believe it. But any like group like that, like soccer, traveling group, you're gonna attract some fucking psychos that hop along. It's like when the Grateful Dead go on tour. Like I bet they're not specifically asking cult members to recruit with acid in the parking lot. But for sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
For sure. If you're like a psycho cult leader and you want to pick up some people, you're gonna go to a place where everyone's on acid. You're gonna go to a Fish concert and explain to them, you know, you guys, I know you're in between apartments right now. We have an amazing community and everyone's accepted. And next thing you know, you're in a cult.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're doing acid with this fucking weirdo, and you know he's in the lotus position, and you're all pretending that this is normal.
But you know what's really interesting about soccer is that hooligan element, that's not just in the UK, that's right the way through Europe and in South America.
It's New Zealand too, right? Don't they duke it out in New Zealand?
No,
With-
it's
with
not in New
rugby
Zealand.
teams?
Yeah, rugby's kind of different because football with the hooligan element. So in Italian soccer, for example, they have what the hooligans are called the ultras. And they're so powerful that if the team is playing badly, then what the captain has to do, he then gets, in some instances, the ultras have blockaded the stadium, refused that the players leave, and the captain is then demanded to go and have a meeting with the head ultra.
Oh my god. That kind of pressure while you're playing a world-class soccer match.
Yeah, so then this kid, and let's be fair, he's a kid in his mid to late 20s probably, then has to go out and have a meeting with this 40-year-old tattooed psycho and then
my God.
explain to him exactly why the team is underperforming.
That's basically what professional sports is, especially soccer. It's like you're trying to do your best in front of 50,000 people who are all screaming that you're a cunt. You know? That's basically it.
Yeah.
In that sense, fighting is more pure. Because people don't really get upset at a fighter for losing. You really more like celebrate the other guy for winning.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare the fighter gets demolished for losing. Like they would have to lose in a specific way. Like they'd have to quit somehow. But there's none of that in the UFC. It's like, because to get at that level, you can't have any of that in you. By the time you get to the big show, like those guys are tried and proven. They're not. There's no cowards in that group. You know, so they don't get that same kind of criticism that athletes have, which is one of the, because it's like literally your life's on the line. Like it's a different thing you're doing than just a sport, which is why the regular kind of journalism doesn't work in MMA. Like sports journalism in the United States at least, is like super insulting. Like he's a bum, he's lazy, he doesn't do the work in the off season, and we're seeing it now.
Yeah.
He's a fucking loser. Like that's what they like to do that.
Same in the UK, man.
Bro,
Yeah.
you do that about fighters, and they'll find you, all right? They'll fucking smack you in your face. Like, this is their soul they're bearing in front of the world. And for you, some fat guy chewing Adderall and typing into a MacBook Air, fuck you. That guy will smack you in your fucking head. He's a terrifying human being trying his best. And you have to describe it that way, because it's a different thing than someone who doesn't hit free throws. It's a different thing.
Did you ever hear the story? I think it was a guy called Curtis. I think it was Curtis Woodhouse. It was someone like that. So it may not have been Curtis, but it was someone of that ilk. Wasn't a heavy, well, he was a middleweight champion, but he wasn't European or world, but he was a British middleweight champion, which is still a huge achievement. Huge achievement. Anyway, so this kid was trolling him. This happened about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. And this kid was trolling him online and saying all this horrendous stuff. And the guy just responded. He went, right, I've had enough now and I'm coming to find you. And the kid was just like, yeah, you're going to come and find me. And he goes, bro, I know you live in Birmingham. And the kid's like, yeah, but Birmingham's a big place. He went, no, I know people and we will get your address. And then so he then started posting photos on his Twitter going, driving to Birmingham to see you. And then he went, and then he took a photo of the sign of his town and went, I'm coming to see you. And then he took a photo at the bottom of his road and he went, you best come out because we're going to be talking. And the kid just went, and just apologized. And he went, that's cool, bro. And he just went, knocked on his door and had a conversation with him.
Jesus.
And he was just like, look. And
what was the kid, what did he look like?
it was just like this little fat kid.
But we're giving people the power and the tools that they don't deserve. And I don't say that they don't deserve it as human beings. I mean, you're not capable of handling this kind of responsibility. To be able to reach out to a middleweight champion and call him a pussy. Yeah. Like, that's a crazy thing to do. And if you're like 15 years old and you have this ability, you shouldn't have a license to do that yet. It's almost like a driver's license. Maybe you should have an internet license.
Yeah.
No, Billy, you can't post another picture of your dick. You fucking psycho. You know, like, you can't just put up permanently things that could ruin your entire life when you're 15. Maybe there should be that. Maybe it should be like all kids' internet until they're 21. Everything they post, it disappears in 15 seconds, and you can't take a screenshot of it. You know, like,
Yeah.
let them be kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them be kids. Don't like people are getting fired for fucking posts they made when they were in high school, where someone digs up some old Facebook post they made joking around when they were in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we interviewed someone. Have you seen Adolescence? This thing that's doing, it's supposed to be the most watched thing on Netflix. It's on course.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So it's about, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to just tune out, but it's basically about a 13-year-old kid who he's getting bullied by a girl at school. She calls him an incel or whatever, and he goes and stabs her and kills her. And it's crazy. And it's all about that. And we had this guy, an incel expert on to talk about it. A guy who's actually in Austin here.
Wait a minute, he's an incel expert?
Yeah.
Not practicing.
I understand.
That's why he came to see us, Joe.
Imagine that
I
Mike
saw,
Starr
like,
from Goodfellas was in it.
I don't know that guy.
Bruce Greenwood, who was in Star Trek. He's been in everything. He's a great actor. He was in it. He was like the older pitcher that was like my nemesis. Terrible show. Terrible show. Like,
think
so bad.
I think I saw that guy. Like
So bad.
The intro of it or something. I remember Hardball.
Yeah, it lasted 6 episodes. And then the other show that I got was News Radio, and it was the only other show I auditioned for. It was just everything else I auditioned for was like movies and stuff that I never got. And there was a couple of shows after News Radio was over that I auditioned for that I didn't get. But it was just like it was so bizarre. So when I would go to these auditions for other things, it wasn't that big a deal because I was already on News Radio. So it wasn't like if I didn't get these things, it was like this will be okay. But it was like still the anxiety of that. Like, I had money and it was still like, oh, this is awful. Like, this whole thing is so stressful and so weird. And everybody's so fucked up because you get a bunch of people that desperately want attention. And then you go there to this place where you're surrounded by people who are desperate and want attention in Hollywood, and then you have this one moment in front of these people, and they're looking at you like this. Okay, Kyle.
Hi.
So you're reading for Bobby, correct?
I love the script. So funny.
You know, Bobby's an athlete. Did
Yeah.
they?
No, I can do all the things. Whatever you
Right.
say, I can do it. I'm good at it.
Right. Okay. Tim here's gonna read with you, and Tim could barely read. It's always like some PA who's fucking probably on ketamine,
Yeah.
could barely read, and you have to pretend like you're having this emotive moment with Tim.
I'm so glad I don't have to do that.
Ugh, it was the worst. But some people love it. Some people, look, man, we're comics. Some people are actors. They fucking love it. Like McConaughey, that fucking dude loves pouring himself into a role, getting psychotic about who the character is.
I wish if I could go back, I wish I'd looked at those as and someone said this as an opportunity to perform instead of I'm trying to get something.
Right.
I was just desperate. I had no money. I have to get this.
I will say though, if you're on a sitcom that has really good writing, it's fun as shit. News Radio was fun.
You said you just got it. How did you
I had a development deal with NBC, and they were going to do. I was going to do my own show, but they had a sitcom that they were already greenlit, and Ray Romano was on it, and Ray was the maintenance guy, and Ray got fired during the pilot, which is the best thing that ever happened to him. He goes on to do the
Devastating, but right.
Everybody Loves Raymond, and it's fucking huge, bigger than News Radio ever was. So he gets fired, and another guy got hired, and then he got fired. So I didn't feel bad. Because I'm friends with Ray. I love Ray.
I bet you that part just was not good. It wasn't the actor's fault. Because you audition and then...
I don't know what it was. It's you never know what they want. When Paul, the guy who created it, Paul Sims, is this brilliant guy who worked on fucking HBO. Larry Sanders, thank you. He worked on Larry Sanders. He was a brilliant, brilliant guy. And he did a very clever thing. In the auditions.
Yeah.
The first audition I read for, it wasn't funny. On purpose. They wanted to cut out all the people who were hamming it up.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, this writing is nothing. So I'm I don't know what this is. So the NBC asked me to go in and read for it. I memorized the stuff, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. So I go in and I do it. It's real flat. And I say, thank you. And all of a sudden I have a callback. And then they send me the callback sheets, and it's hilarious. And I was like, oh, whoa.
In order to see if you could turn something.
Because that was a thing that everybody hated, was the hammy sitcom actor. Come on, Bobby.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You're good at that. That's really good.
I've seen a lot of those guys. So they wanted to avoid that. And so then, they had a callback, and it was just me and two other guys. And these two other guys looked like they just got back from Vietnam. They were sweating. They were fucking pale in the face.
That makes you confident, right? When you see someone nervous, you're like, oh, okay.
Super confident. I looked at these guys and oh, they can't handle pressure. And I sat back on the couch and put my feet up on the coffee table like a dickhead.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, while I was waiting. We were in the waiting room.
Oh,
I was
I
looking
thought
at
you meant in the room.
I was looking at these guys panicking, and I was like, oh, it's just us?
Yeah. I got this. I had just a sketch show, one of the rare things I got. And the guy, I was so out of my mind nervous, and I could hear in the door, this guy not doing good, panicking, and I just got calm. And I was like, oh, I got
Isn't
it.
that nice?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Then the show got canceled.
Well, they all get canceled.
Yeah,
That was the
90% of them don't, maybe even more, right?
Most of them never make it to a second season, and definitely most of them never make it to syndication. They go a few episodes, and then they get canned.
I was on... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if the production company's not making money, the network's not making money, it's not getting ratings.
I was in a situation, it was Cedric the Entertainer Presents, a sketch show. It was I was so
I remember
excited.
that.
Yeah, I joined mid-season.
What year is this?
2003. And big year for me. So I get there mid-season. They're like, we need a white guy to check on. I was the token white guy. And Louis C.K. was a writer. It was a great freaking show. And he got into a fight with the Fox. Here's where I knew things were downhill. Now, I didn't sell my car. I had and I'd pull up to the good spots, and it was Lamborghini, and it wasn't just a shitty car from the early 80s. It was I hit 4 accidents. It was just a chunk. And I just was and it's so broke in a tiny apartment. I'm let me just see if I can. But it seemed like this was a hit show. It was doing well. Okay? So then it's first sign, it was hey, there's a Fox party tomorrow. And I was like, oh, cool. I made it in Hollywood. So I go to this thing, and I'm like, where's Cedric? And they're like, oh, he got into a big fight with the head of Fox. He told me he was a douchebag. Some fight, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. So I'm like, it'll be fun. So then, we were about to go on right after American Idol, which was like the biggest show in the world. So we're like, get ready for the rocket ship. And then this guy put Wanda Sykes show, took Cedric off the air for like 6 weeks, took a Wanda Sykes, not off the air, but like, yeah, moved it to the spot. So Wanda's show was after, and then Wanda's got amazing views, so it gave them an excuse to cancel Cedric, even though Cedric was a hit, it was like a FU.
Cedric seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he was very cool and nice to me.
So what happened?
He did get on the phone during my audition, though, at one point. I was in the middle of auditioning. Yeah, and it was kind of a casual call. It was really like not an emergency. But I just like powered through. But he was very cool, good guy. But
there's a different like culture of stardom versus people that want to be on a show. Like you're not the equal.
What do you mean?
Like if you're auditioning for a show and the guy who has the show is in the room, there's this weird, what is that? Number one on the call sheet. There's a documentary about black actors. And it's not black actors. It's just actors, period, in general. Like I experienced that a lot in the news radio days with guys who were big movie stars, and they would like big time you in the weirdest way. Like you couldn't just say hi to them, you couldn't hang out with them. There's a few guys that just like they were just really gross. And then there was guys like John Ritter, who was like the fucking nicest guy in the world to everybody.
Right.
The nicest guy in the world. Nicest guy in the world. Camera people, joking around with the makeup lady, fun.
Heart attack.
Died. Young, man.
I know.
Fucking young, before the vaccine. Young.
He was the first guy.
He was such a sweetheart on the set. Such a nice guy.
Nice. I had that Cedric show was also, I had like an episode where it was like my episode, where it was like, I had like 3 sketches I wrote that was gonna be, it was my big coming out. And I literally came out, right? And I was like, what's going on, you guys? And shock and awe started. Remember the Iraq War? And it just was gone. And I told everybody like, it's my big show. And it just, that happened, and then and it just was over. And I was I never sold my car. I was back to my studio apartment.
Couldn't you think that studio executives would be wise enough to go, look, we got Louis C.K., we have Cedric the Entertainer, we have a fucking show. Let's figure out a way to promote this correctly.
And it was funny. It was just, it's so hard to make a funny sketch show. They try to plot people together. You need, real synergy with the cast and the writers. Have to figure out how people are funny.
Yeah.
It takes that's
takes
what the
a while.
The first set of SNL cast, they already worked together, and
Yeah.
that's why they were like gelled right away. I mean, one of the reasons. But all these sketch shows they put together, and they'll say, "Don't pitch a sketch show; they never work." It's because they like pluck people who don't even do sketch.
It's like putting together a boy band.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you have to put together a fake band. Not a bunch of guys who grew up together in Seattle, been playing in the basement. No.
That
you gotta,
works better though.
Find somebody. Yeah, that works better.
Just put a bunch of hot dudes together.
Get
bunch of
some
hot
good
as
hair.
fuck guys.
Let them Milli Vanilli it up.
Yeah.
Remember
By
those
the
days?
way, Milli Vanilli.
They got a
Not
bad
to
deal.
change topics, but
They got a bad rap.
like now they'd be fine.
They'd be
really
fine.
care.
No one cares if that's your voice. You're hot. I love your dreadlocks.
Great
Great
look.
bodies.
Great bodies.
Dancing around.
Great cocks.
Girl, I
Great-
know it's true.
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh, ooh,
I do like their
ooh,
music.
I love you. No, you don't.
I do. I
They
like
got
that
you
song.
at the time. Remember there was the other one? There was a song. God, it was like a big time band, and there was like this beautiful woman who was singing, and it turned out it wasn't really her singing. It was some big heavy lady who was actually singing.
Oh, it's always like a big. Milli Vanilli's a big fat guy.
It was one of those fucking something
Taylor Swift?
factory. What was the band? Yes.
They didn't sing?
There was a situation like that, right? Wasn't there? Where some lady.
I didn't know that.
Jamie will find it. There was
Jamie
some.
finds everything.
He knows everything.
Jamie.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
he
he
loves
does.
you.
I heard
We
him
talked
talk
about
shit
you
about
earlier today.
He
He was
talked
saying
shit
nice
about
things.
me. I was
He's
spying on
bipolar.
him. I know. He's
You gotta hit by a
mentally-
golf ball.
Yeah, I saw his. It's so cool. I want that. I was watching him. He's got that really cool golf set. back there. I
Oh
wanna
yeah,
get one of them.
Jamie can golf his ass off. I have a buddy who got hit in the head with a golf ball. He said he was fucked up for 6 months.
Oh really?
He got hit in the head with a line drive, just donk.
I hit a kid with a golf ball. He was all right though. Luckily, I didn't get a good swing on him. Do you know
I
what-
see those guys that like do those power swings
Yeah.
on the internet, like where they loop their arm around and fucking drive through, and like
Yeah, yeah.
some imagine getting hit with one of those balls.
Yeah.
It's like getting hit with like a fucking like a shotgun shooting a rubber bullet at you.
Yeah, they're really. Yeah, if you get a nice skull worm burner, you can kill a duck. If you just
Really?
You see those videos of
People
pieces
killing-
head just snapping.
No, but you ever see that one where the pitcher catches the bird in mid-flight?
Amazing.
Crazy. It's like, what are the odds that it would perfectly be there when it's a 100-mile-an-hour
my
pitch?
God.
Who was that? Was that Randy?
Yeah.
Was it?
Randy, what's his last name?
Randy Johnson.
He
The
was so
big
tall,
unit.
He was like halfway to the thing. Oh no.
Martha Wash, most famous unknown singer of the 90s, speaks how a voice behind It's Raining Men, Gonna Make You Sweat, and Strike It Up went from being a bullied victim to an industry pioneer. So which song was it, the CNC Music Factory song?
She's cute. Why didn't they give her a shot?
I don't know.
I
So
didn't know what CNC Music Factory looks like. Were they good looking?
they probably were. Well, that was the move back then. You get good-looking people, they dance around.
Now you just get AI to do it.
Well, this was the first time where they were experimenting really with images in a way where everything's visual. It's all video. You know, like MTV was so important. It
Oh
was
my
so
God.
important.
I like the ugly
Gonna-
years of musicians.
Gonna make you sweat. The same song. Everybody dance.
Oh, that's
Everybody.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
So
God, that
that's
reminds me
it.
of
So
college.
it's some other lady in the video was singing it, but that lady was the real
Yeah.
voice behind it. But she just didn't look like they wanted her to look.
Uncredited vocals.
Which is just so crazy. Like, you don't think, like, look what's happening with, like, Lizzo. You don't think that would have happened in 1994? Of course it would have, if you just tried it. Everybody.
That reminds me of college. I went to school for acting, which is the dumbest thing you can ever go to school for.
What did
by
you
the
learn?
way.
Kyle?
Nothing.
What did you learn?
Honestly, I learned how
Give
to
us
be a
your
worse
wisdom.
actor. I really do
Really?
believe that. Yeah, 'cause it was like Shakespeare and stuff. And like, I'm terrible at that. All my teachers thought I was just terrible. And they did this one class.
Athletes have to be very careful about how they treat their bodies, something everyone wants to do, actually, right? So it's no surprise that they're very particular about what they eat and drink. It's no surprise that a lot of pro athletes rely on AG1 to help them stay at peak performance, just like me. AG1 is more than a drink. It combines a multivitamin, multi-mineral blend of superfoods and more into one simple scoop. And it's NSF certified for sport, which, if you don't know what that is, it basically means it's been put through tons of testing for over 280 banned substances. And trust me, you don't want any of that stuff in your body. And it really is as simple as one scoop once a day. I have it in the morning. It gives me confidence I need to take on the day. Try AG1 for yourself. It's something that I've actually been consistent with, and that's why I partnered with AG1 for so long. Try AG1 and get a free welcome kit, a free bottle of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. That's a $76 value gift for free if you go to drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. Check it out.
Literally, like, this was called Movement for the Actor. Now imagine like my parents paid for college, which is so nice of them. I don't have any debt, but like what a waste of my parents' money. This is an hour class, Movement for the Actor. So they put on music, like everybody dance notes, one of the things, and then you're supposed to just creatively like do whatever. So these
And
a
you had
bunch
to pay
of
for that?
weirdos, like $50,000. So I'm in my head like, what the fuck is this? Doesn't make me a bet. So you're fake, and then this teacher was like doing Shakespeare. He's like, bring in tights next week for the Shakespeare performance. And I'm like, I'm not buying tights and coming in tights. Like, why would I have to do that? Because back then, they dressed in their normal clothes. You know what I mean? Like Shakespeare wrote the thing, they were just in their clothes. It wasn't like getting me in tights to do Hamlet. So I just didn't get tights. And I come in, he's like, where's your tights? This like very effeminate guy who hated me. And he goes, where are your tights, Kyle? And I was like, oh, I forgot my tights. And he's like, make sure you bring your tights next week. And I was like, okay. So next week, no tights. And I go, oh, I forgot my tights. Like, darn it. I wish
that how
I
you
brought
said
my
it?
tights. Yeah, I was like, I
That's
wish
probably your best actor.
I brought my tights. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
really good at acting like I didn't, like I wanted to bring my tights. So he goes, get mine. They're in the back. You know, there was like these green tights.
Oh, they're hugging his balls.
I had to like put them on, and I looked like Kermit the Frog because my legs are like the size of a 12-year-old Korean girl, and I came out with my. It
Yeah.
was disgusting.
Kermit the Frog. Yeah, I look like Kermit. Yeah.
By the way, and I did tell him. I said, listen, because I tried to negotiate before I put his tights on. I'm like, but they didn't. They just wore their clothes like that then. And he was like, get the tights. Like, I want to see the tights.
Brian Callen was always going to acting schools, and he knew they were ridiculous. But I think like Brian at one point in time was like completely enamored with the idea of being in Hollywood. Like he had a bunch of like famous actor friends, and he'd go to famous actor parties, and he'd take acting classes. He's always working on his craft.
I love that, working on my craft. By the way,
But he was
that's such
bullshitting. He was
knew,
aware.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
around. Like when he would say working on my craft, he wasn't being serious. He was completely joking.
Yeah, he's very.
So he had this teacher that was, I think it was a Scientology hustle too. It was one of those things. There was a lot of that, particularly in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Where the teachers were Scientologists. But
Yeah.
insert, by the way, it's not to pick on Scientology. Insert whatever religion. There was a lot of Scientology that was in Hollywood though. But what they would do is they would get people to join the acting class, and they would try to recruit them into Scientology because the teacher was a Scientologist. He
So
talked about
offended. No one
how
offended.
important it was. You never
To
tried
be in Scientology?
yeah, how important it was for his craft. Meanwhile, they're never successful. The people that teaching the acting classes, they're always terrible.
Yeah.
They never go anywhere. Like maybe they have like a small part on one thing, and then they're going to tell you how to make it.
Yeah, you
But
never
you
hear
didn't
that
even
speech
apply
to the
it to your
Oscars
own
like,
life.
when I was a teacher, I didn't think I'd ever be. Yeah.
Not to say there's not good acting teachers out there. I'm sure there are. There's
Sure.
people that just like love theater. They love like that kind of act. They have no desire to be famous. They love the craft. They love the art of it. That's true too, right? But anyway, this guy, he was really into show tunes, and he would do a big show at the end of the class or whatever, the end of the quarter, whatever it was. He had this big show at this local theater, and Brian's like, "You have to come and watch a guy with the tiniest feet you've ever seen in your life." He had these little, I couldn't take my eyes off his feet because he had loafers on, and they were like that big. And this guy would sing like so passionately these show tunes from like musicals. Like there's no context. You didn't
It was
see
like
the musical.
a medley, like a
A medley of
review
show
I
tunes.
love that. Sounds like a great show. Well, you came there to see his feet? That was like the why you
No,
went there?
Brian was like fascinated by how small his
He
feet
just
were,
comes to
and then I
his
couldn't
feet.
stop because we were high, so I couldn't stop looking
That's
at
not
his
that
feet.
small. That
No, they were tiny. They were like
That
size
seems like a- that's
5.
like-
They were little tiny feet.
I had dated this girl once, and she was like, "I have a shoe show. I'm a shoe model, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, shoe show? Okay."
A shoe model?
Yeah, foot.
A foot model.
Like she would model shoes.
Okay, like
But-
open-toed shoes.
I just would like I didn't know, but
Okay.
that's what she would say. She was going to do this, and she always had like dollar bills. She always had cash, you know. And I found out years later she was a stripper. Shoe show is when you have no clothes on, and I just thought she was a shoe.
You move quickly, you're going to cancel some things that you might not want to cancel. Things are not going to go perfectly every time, whatever. But ultimately, the question all Western countries have to answer is we're running debt at more than 100% of GDP, right? What are we going to do about that? We have to deal with
What's
it
this
somehow.
we should?
You're actually, bro, you're worse than we are.
Really?
Yeah, you're 126%, we're about 110.
God damn, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why you're trying to deal with it. That's what Elon's trying to do. He's trying to cut the deficit in half, and then the idea is you grow the economy and you actually get back to surplus.
When he keeps finding all of these companies that are getting like $1 billion here and $2 billion there, and all, like the Stacey Abrams one where they're going to give energy efficient appliances to poor people.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, there's a bunch of those. Like, what did you do? Like the high-speed internet one.
Yeah.
What did you do? How come you got billions of dollars and fucking nothing happened? Imagine if you were a private company and you had a segment. Like, imagine we were all a company. And we were like, Francis, I think you should be in charge of figuring out how to do this with the phone.
I'd
And
be
then
like, we've already fucked you.
Yeah, trust me,
I'm
I run a
giving
business
you-
with this guy. That's a bad
I'm
idea.
giving you $4 billion to get this done.
Yeah.
And then I never talk to you again. I never check in. I don't go, hey, where's the fucking money being spent? What are you
Yeah.
doing, man? How come the phone can't do this yet? I don't ask for any progress reports. You just keep getting money. This is bananas.
It's
like-
crazy.
and for anybody who doesn't want that to be more efficient, like, what are you working for? If you're paying taxes, what are you working for? You're part of your day is the running of this government. You're happy that it's being run like this? You're happy that billions are going to places that no one can you have no receipts? You don't know where it got spent? You have no idea? And that's legal?
Yeah.
When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all gonna happen. Bet the unexpected, every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code ROGAN. That's code ROGAN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yeah, it's sort of like, but I kind of think about it like this. It's sort of the equivalent. You know those direct debits that come out of your account?
Yeah.
And you just like,
Right, you're like, what is that?
what's that?
What did I
Like,
sign up for?
2 trillion, that's fun.
I canceled that gym membership. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it keeps coming out. You're like, you know what? I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
That's kind of, we've just got too many direct debits and they're going all over the place.
Well, it's that, but then there's the fear that they're putting out there, which is the just fear that they're going to fuck up Social Security and they're going to fuck up Medicaid, and there's people that are relying on that, and they're going to lose their service for they did no wrong. Now, I don't know what the story is with that. Like, I know there's people that have complained that the Social Security website has been down. It's been down a couple times, but I don't know if people are not getting their benefits. Do we know? Can we find that out?
I haven't heard that, Joe, but
Jamie, do some research.
I think it is inevitable that when you
But
do
that's
things
what
this
everyone's
quickly.
afraid. Right,
Yeah.
but that's what everyone's afraid of, that
Yeah.
the vulnerable people, the people that we should be protecting with these social programs that we all agree to, those are the people we have to protect the most. We have to make sure that there's no disruptions. You got to make sure before you do anything, there's no disruptions. You know, before you shoot the bad guy, make sure he's not holding a baby.
Yeah.
You can't interrupt. Like, when people are on Social Security, man, they're fucking. If they're, that's not a lot of money, right? And so they don't have any money in the bank probably, and they probably have it all budgeted out to get on that check, and they're probably real frugal with their food choices, and that's a rough life, man. And if you cut that off for 30 days, 90 days for people, okay, never missed a benefit payment. U.S. Social Security Administration has never missed a benefit payment. Now, the continuity of monthly checks for millions of Americans could be at risk following changes under the Trump administration, former Commissioner Martin O'Malley says. So it's saying, okay, so the key point is it's saying before this, they've never missed a benefit payment.
But it's also not saying they are missing them now. It's saying it could be at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, it just says threaten interruption of benefits, which is, look, what I would say if I was a Democrat. If I wanted to make it look bad, I would say they're threatening your benefits, and then people go into a hot panic.
But you know, like, I remember when I was teaching, and I was teaching in schools that were super deprived, schools where the kids, a lot of them would come to school, they didn't have food in their bellies, etc., etc. And there's a agency in the UK called CAMS, which is Child and Mental Health Services. And I remember that we had so many kids who had problems, psychological problems, particularly if you grow up poor, deprived. You know, you'd seen horrible stuff when you were a kid. You had, you know, maybe like a brother who got involved in gangs, is now in prison, a father who was never there. There were so many kids who had this need, and they had conditions which were undiagnosed, whether it's something like dyslexia or like your brother was murdered, you had some form of PTSD. And you had this, this agency which brought counselors in, which brought psychologists in, and psychiatrists who were experts at dealing with kids. And I just remember, because of austerity, this agency got cut after cut after cut after cut. And you're looking at it and you're going, like, I understand we need to cut. I understand we're running at a deficit. But there needs to be balance as well, because when you're looking at those type of agencies, they're really important. They're really important. And also, if you invest that money and you're able to support those kids, they're far more likely when they leave school to be a healthy, happier member of society that's going to contribute tax pounds sterling or tax dollars.
Do you think it's a reasonable request to have something that does that? Something that helps feed poor kids, helps educate people, genuinely helps communities all around the world, completely separate from all the other stuff that agency does? Because USAID is a huge, gigantic organization of a bunch of different entities, right?
Which did some good stuff and a lot of crazy shit.
A lot of crazy shit. But if I was someone who was, nefariously running things, I would definitely mix up my regime change operation with giving food to poor people. It's like, look, we're doing great stuff. Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Here's what we're highlighting.
Well, you don't like
for this
feeding
month.
poor kids?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and no one even knew that they had this enormous budget that was what is it bigger than the Pentagon's? Was USAID's budget bigger than the Pentagon's? No? What is
0.6% of the budget.
what was USAID's budget?
Yeah, 0.6%.
No, I know, but what was the numbers? Because it was bigger than something, the amount of money that USAID pays.
Only 1.7 billion for the fiscal year. 4.3% of the $6.8 trillion overall federal budget.
6 point what trillion? That's so crazy. So you just think just that money. How much of that money is fraud and waste?
Yeah.
How much of that money is really good? How much of that money, that should be separate from, at the very least, someone needs to go in and audit and go, hey, well's good. Giving these people arms because you want them to overthrow that government, that's probably not so good.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is good.
Or maybe it is good.
Maybe
That's
it is
right.
good. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's you talk to guys like Mike Baker, who was very kind of stoic about all this. It's you have no choice. You need to get these people on your side in certain parts of the world, and this is just how it works. And if you don't do that, then China does or Russia does, and it gets even worse for you.
Yeah, because that's also the thing we don't get.
Okay, this Nigerian journalist. Of course, Nigerians are so industrious. They run some of the best fucking scams.
Oh, the
Shout
best
out to
scams.
Nigerian scammers. Nigerian journalist falsely claims USAID budget larger than CIA, State Department combined. So they falsely claimed it.
That's a big lesson, and if you're gonna lie, make it believable. You know what I mean? Don't go too big.
Isn't it crazy that as much money as they got? What was it? How much billion? 21 billion. Still, it's a pittance.
It is.
That's a pittance compared to the other thing.
You boys have a lot of money, Joe.
Isn't that nuts? And we just keep making it.
Yeah.
Just keep.
Do you know what's bigger than your defense budget? Your interest debt on the interest.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
We'll
We are the
figure that
same.
out. Yeah,
We're
we're
the
like
same.
a crackhead with an unlimited bank account.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're like.
Yeah.
And this is a difficulty about it, because we've got the same problem in European countries as well. It's you're not only going to deal with this by dealing with fraud and waste. We're actually going to have to not do some shit that we really want to do, because we have been spending like crazy everywhere. And when we, in the UK, when I look at those, I think we need that in the UK, 100%. And some of it is going to have to, it might overreach, then you pull it back. You've got to make sure it's done properly. But we're not going to get away from this, man. We have been living beyond our means for decades now.
Well, you can't have no oversight of government spending. I think we're already that. You have to
That's fucking controversial, mate. You're a Nazi.
It's so crazy to say that that's controversial, but it is controversial
Yeah.
to say. And I
Yeah.
would be saying it no matter who the fuck is in control.
That's right.
That just as human beings, you can't let people have that much control over your money, because they'll just decide they need more. And what do they always want to do? Always. They want to raise taxes on the rich. What they never want to do is slash inefficiency and waste.
Yeah.
Because that's what pays them. That's their fucking system. They're locked into this system. They're the last people who should be commenting on it. Because it's literally what pays you. Like, I can't trust you. Like, you need more taxes? Is that what you need? You're like, Dad, it's like a cokehead kid that's a kid of a billionaire. Dad, I need more fucking money. These fucking business assholes are trying to fuck me, and I'm gonna buy them out now. Like, okay, son, here, cut your check. Get the fuck out of here. That's what we're like. We're insane. We're completely insane.
It's also as well, you know, it's because of our electoral system. Everybody thinks on the short term. Nobody thinks on the long term.
Right.
And also as well, you're going to like you talk about more taxes, and you know that's going to piss people off. But it's not going to piss as many people off as if you fire great swathes of people, particularly those that may vote for you. Because we know, for instance, with the Dems, that you're more likely to vote for them if you're a bureaucrat, if you work in government and all that.
Head injuries.
Yeah. So, as a result, why are you gonna piss off the people who are more likely to vote for you? It really, on a logical basis, doesn't really make much sense.
But you know, it sounds like we're slagging off the left, and we are, because it's necessary. But I can't wait for the left to recover their sanity, because they're going to be super necessary over time. Because when people get into power, they do a lot of stuff, and then eventually that power is corrupting.
100%.
And you have to hold power accountable, no matter who's got it.
100%. Everybody needs to hear that and shout that from the rooftops. Because if the left stays crazy, then you lose balance, and then the right goes nuttier, and they go full Christian fundamentalist. Like, they can get kooky. And this is not a knock on Christians, because I think true Christianity is wonderful and beautiful.
Agreed.
I think it's a great way to live your life, and I know some incredible Christians.
Some of
But
the best people.
I'm talking about human nature as applied to power.
Yeah.
And when people get into power, they want more and more and more. That's why rich people never feel like they have enough money. It's a crazy part of being a man. And then some women, but it's a lot of men. A lot of men want that.
Can I
And
ask you
they're
something
dangerous.
personal on that?
Sure.
You've made a lot of money. How do you deal with that?
I don't know. I wish I could figure out how I do it so easy. I think it's working out. I think that's a huge part of it. I torture myself so often that like regular life just doesn't freak me out as much. And then it gives me a balance, because you know, you could think that the numbers in a bank account are really what counts, but what really counts is how you feel. How are you handling life? Like, how are you enjoying life? I just try to enjoy life as much as possible, and I try to put myself through a lot of voluntary adversity, so regular adversity is not that big a deal.
Was there a number that you got to and you were like, oh, I'm good now?
No. I think it was the Fear Factor days. The Fear Factor days changed my, it just changed how I view everything. Because then I had like legitimate fuck you money. You know, that was like the first time I got fuck you money. Like, I'm not doing shit. And then I just like decided to just concentrate on only doing my own thing after that. And like once Brian Cowan said something really wise once. He said, once you can go to a restaurant and not have to worry about how much it costs, everything after that is bullshit. He's like, you just have to be comfortable. I was like, that's right. That is right. Like, if you just start thinking about the numbers and chasing the numbers, Brian has a friend who's worth $3 billion, and he feels poor when he hangs around with his friend who's worth $80 billion. I'm not kidding. He's like, it's true, dude. I mean, I feel less worthy. He's like, they're drinking together. He's telling me this. I'm like, this is madness. Because you're chasing numbers instead of like really trying to maximize your enjoyment of this experience, because it's a unique experience that only you are having. And you're interacting with so many bizarre and fascinating people. And there's so many bizarre and fascinating events that are happening in the world, and horrific events. And all of it is happening, and we're all seeing it together in real time for the first time in human history. There's never been a time unless with the Egyptians. I've got some questions. I think they might have known a lot more than we think. But everybody else, this is the only time ever where we're sharing everything all the time. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of like scammering for narratives and trying to like figure out what's right and what's wrong. But without like some sort of like moral and ethical guide you guidelines of kindness and community for everybody. Like share, like universally. Let's agree as Americans. We are going to respect each other like we're a community. If we have differing beliefs on welfare or abortion or war or whatever it is, like let's treat those like what they are, which is just ideas that we should be discussing based on their merits. And we should all agree, what does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy and healthy, and they want their family to be happy and healthy, and they want to be able to make a living and enjoy their life. That's what everybody wants, universally. That should be what we discuss constantly. And all the other things should be things that we debate reasonably. And when people can't do that, you should lock them out of the conversation. You should say, like, no, you're crazy. You're calling him a retard, and you're screaming about this and that, and you're bringing up this from the past and this bill and that. Why did you flip-flop on that? Shut the fuck up. Like, stop talking like that. Like, this is all divisive. All of it's divisive. When it's like the one time where there's a possibility of a fork in the road. Like this one time where there's narratives that are being spread like you guys do all the time in your show. All the time. You give reasonable takes on things that have an objective perspective of the world, and then other people get to hear it. And then they listen in on that. You have a great conversation with Jordan Peterson or someone, and somebody hears like some nugget of truth, and then they're in their car and like, fuck, he's right. Fuck, he's right. That person would have never experienced that without being connected to your show. So there's incredible hope for people to be more reasonable and to wake up and go, there's not a right and there's not a left. There's just a
lot of interest help.
Oh,
helps
fucking for sure.
Yeah, you get.
But back then, I would have told you to get a sitcom because there was no money on YouTube. Everybody still wanted a sitcom back then.
The other one guy who didn't, and I was like, he's lying. Zach Galifianakis was like, I don't want to do a sitcom. In my head, I'm like, oh, he's lying. But he actually had like a very, he had his head together.
Yeah, he's not lying about nothing. I mean, that guy, he's the least attention whore of any famous person.
He never
famous
got
funny
caught up.
person ever. Not at all. Doesn't
He's
he live like on a
yeah,
farm?
he does. He has like a tractor.
Yeah, very
Every now and
interesting guy. Very smart guy.
Very smart.
He was good friends with Brody. And
Yeah.
he was one of the first people to alert me when Brody was off the meds. Like there was a time when Brody was off his meds. Do you remember that? People that don't know, we're talking about our late great friend Brody Stevens, who was like that.
So funny, yeah.
He was so fun. And Brody Stevens is like one of the best examples of like it's not what's written on paper.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Right?
If you got his act on paper, you're like, this is not going to work.
Right, you'd be like, this is nonsense. This doesn't make any sense at all. Meanwhile, everyone's lining up in the back of the room to see him say
It's
these
so,
things.
yeah, I think it's like that Andy Kaufman of our like little time period there where it was like.
Andy Kaufman was a brilliant actor and a brilliant comedic actor. He's great on Taxi, but I don't think he ever killed on stage like Brody did. Brody was, one time we were in the
Oh
improv.
yeah, and a different type of comedy, but it was like a different when I was on stage, like people, the comedians watched.
Yes, it was a different thing. He's doing his own thing. He's doing this Brody Stevens thing. One time we were at the improv and it's really late. Like I'd gone up, a lot of people had gone up, the crowd was kind of tired, half the people there. And they announced that Brody's there, and Brody's worried that people are going to get up. So Brody takes his shirt off, and he starts swinging it around in the air over his head and walking through the crowd. Let's go! Positive energy! And he gets on stage, and he pulls drumsticks out of his back pocket, starts beating the chairs, and he starts talking shit. And he just changed the energy of the whole room. Changed the energy of the whole room.
And I don't think there's anybody like since him. I can't think of somebody who's like replaced it. Someone will replace that, but.
They're going to do it in their own way.
You gotta
know?
go like, you have Brody's on stage, you have to go watch. Yeah, and the part of the
Holtzman's
fun,
like that now.
Holtzman? Oh, I don't know him.
Brian Holtzman? You don't
Yeah.
know Brian Holtzman?
No.
Oh my God,
Stay in
dude.
my house a lot.
Oh my God. You let him stay at your house?
No, I say I stay at my
Oh.
house.
You've never
I
saw
stay
Holtzman
indoors.
at the Comedy Store?
No.
That's crazy.
You know what? I might have and just didn't know his name.
Well, he would always come late at night. And unfortunately,
I could've been
you know,
wrong.
there would be like 15 people left in the crowd, and Holtzman would go on these wild rants. He's like
Yeah.
one of the funniest guys of all time. He's like a complete, total comics comic.
Oh yeah, I don't know him well. But
Holtzman's at our club now all the time, all the time. But now he has a crowd. Now people know about him, so they
Oh,
come to
good.
see him. You cannot go there if anything, if you can't tolerate literally everything, don't go.
What, it's
That's what
very
I'll say.
dirty.
It's not
Offensive.
dirty. It's just he's out of his fucking mind. And
Yeah.
it's kind of in character, but you're not really sure.
I like that.
It's like
It's like
Mitzi
Brody.
Shore wouldn't let him on stage for 2 weeks after 9/11. She wouldn't let him up. He can't go up. He's like, Mitzi, I don't understand. I'm not going to cross any lines. He was like, couldn't wait to cross lines. Do you remember when Susan Smith, that lady, drowned her kids?
Yes.
He goes, the day he's on
Yes.
stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I heard those are bad kids. I heard they sat that close to the TV. They didn't put away their blocks. They always spilt their fucking milk. Those kids are not going to be missed. And you're like, what?
What did the audience do when
Dying.
they laughed? Yeah,
Dying. Hollywood, Comedy Store, Sunset,
Yeah.
Tuesday night or whatever it was, 1 a.m. They went nuts. Everybody went nuts.
yeah.
But that was Holtzman. Holtzman got these late spots. So he would say the wildest, most insane shit, but also have a really good point half the time. Like it was comedy wrapped up in a point, and then every now and then he'd let you in on it, like that it was just he's just fucking around
Yeah.
and he'd go right back to it.
Yeah.
And you know it's a little dance he's doing with the crowd, and you got to know what the dance is. But if you know what the dance is, like comics love him. Like whenever he's on stage, we sit in the balcony and watch Holtzman at the mothership.
It sounds like that other guy who's older, blanking on his name.
Don Barris?
Nope.
He's like, what are you people doing here at this hour?
Oh, Louis Black?
No.
Jesus, who are you talking about?
He's at the store.
Eddie
Hey,
Pepitone?
I'm having Eddie Pepitone.
Eddie Pepitone. Eddie's
Love that guy.
Oh yeah, he's great too. Very similar in a lot of ways, like just insane energy and has a point, but is also saying completely wacky.
Yeah, it's, I love like he's like how
He's a
long
sweetheart of a guy,
careers
too.
can be, like-
Pepitone.
Yeah, he is.
I think
like
he
him.
started late. I think Eddie started
Oh,
a
did
little
he?
late. I think so. Well,
I like
at least
how-
I wasn't aware of him until later.
It's good we have long career. Like imagine, I was thinking about sports guys. You know, like you're a baseball player, and that's your identity, and then you're 30, and you're like,
It's over. Yeah,
can
well,
go a long
you can go to
way.
maybe 40. Like, look, Tom Brady still playing football. Who was he, like 42 when he retired?
so that's
Insane.
youngish to have.
Young as fuck if you're a comic.
If your identity is I'm a sports, player, I'm like a sports player. That's what I just revealed what a good big sports guy I am.
Sports player.
You know, are you a sports player?
Yeah, an athlete makes a ton of money for a very short amount of time. That's why they all go broke. Or not all of them, but a large amount of them go bankrupt.
It's also just like you think about your identity when you're a kid. You probably get all that, identity as an athletic person. Then you become like a professional, and it must be difficult to just you have to really never hook into that. Like that's my identity. It's also like if you're a really hot woman, I think it's hard when you got to
yeah.
not have that be your identity.
Can't be your whole thing because one day it's going to go away.
Yeah.
But if you're an athlete, it goes away even quicker than being a hot lady. Like there's hot ladies that are in their 50s. They're still hot. They maintain their looks.
Hot ladies.
They work out. They take care of their skin. But there's no like super athletes that are in their 50s. Like they don't exist.
What about?
Not at a professional level.
Hold on, let me think.
Go ahead. It's not
I know
possible.
athletes.
There's
Give me a
one guy.
second here.
There's one guy I can tell you that did it into his 50s. Bernard Hopkins.
He played golf.
No, he was a boxer, a world champion
boxer in their 50s
multiple
did?
division world champion boxer, was beating world champions at 50 years old.
Did Tyson? Was he full on going full on?
I don't know. I'm not Mike Tyson.
don't know?
But I would say by the tone of my voice, you can sense a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a combat sports athlete looked at that and said, I'm happy Mike Tyson made money.
It seemed like it held back.
Maybe there was an agreement. I wasn't there.
That would be.
I'm
lame,
not
Jamie.
one for wild speculation. I
No,
don't
you're
know
not.
if you know.
No, you don't get
Gordie
involved in
Howe was
anything.
playing until he was 69 years old and 276 games.
Who
Played
is
one
that?
extra game. Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe, great.
Soccer? Hockey? He was 69?
Yeah, I mean he wasn't in the NHL at that point, but he played a professional hockey game at that age. Yeah.
That's insane.
Hey Joe, can I have a cigar? I want to
Sure.
look
Yeah,
manly.
yeah, yeah.
I need something to look manly.
Let me get
'cause
some freshies out
I
of
don't
the
have the-
humidor. You look very man.
I mean, I thank you, but I sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, that guy looks good.
Kelly Slater, also pro surfer, slow rolling.
I'm gonna look ridiculous.
Kelly's a great example. He's another example of someone who just takes care of themselves. But Bernard Hopkins was what was like Bernard Hopkins World Championship fight that he had when he was in his
Just
50s.
list on Wikipedia. Albert Hughes is the oldest pro boxer at 70 years old.
Oh
in
my God.
2019.
That seems
Where was
like
he out of?
suicide.
I'm gonna look.
What year?
It doesn't
I know
matter.
Archie Moore, who was a famous boxer before the Muhammad Ali days. Like Archie Moore was. That's like way back in the.
What? Oh,
that's
that's just sad.
insane. Who's
No,
he
no,
fighting?
no.
The guy he's fighting does not look like he's trying to hit him.
He wins.
The old guy wins.
Put it the video headline.
This looks like someone
Second
took a
round KO.
motherfucking dive.
Win over.
That kid needed money. Yeah, this kid's not punching back at all. He's just covering up. This looks super sus. If I was that, and it just goes down. Yeah, if I was the athletic commission, I'd have a talk with those fellas. And like, hey, what are we doing here? Is this pro wrestling?
White Tyson.
Yeah.
36 years after the last fight.
Well, I do know that people have been offered fights that are fake fights. Like they've been
You
offered
do know that for a
fights.
fact.
100%,
Oh.
100%. I know people have been offered fights where they said you will win the fight.
I don't like that at all.
I know there's celebrity boxing matches and celebrity fights that are like that where they make a deal.
Would you ever do a legit fight at some point?
I'm old as fuck, dude.
No, dude, you're a chicken, spring chicken.
No, you shouldn't do that kind of stuff as you get older, I don't think. I don't think your body's as resilient. Even if you stay fit and in shape, you don't want head trauma in your 50s.
I know. I've hit my head so many times in my life. I'm a little worried.
So Hopkins broke his own record by winning the IBF light heavyweight title from Tavares Cloud in 2013, and again in 2014, he won the WBA super title from Beibut Shumanov at ages 48 and 49. That's fucking crazy. So he wins 2 titles, a title at age 48 and a title at age 49. Incredible.
Were those rigged?
No, the way that he would box was super intelligent. Like he was very defensively minded. You didn't get clean shots off on Bernard Hopkins. He was very clever, and he understood boxing like at a very, very like deep level. His footwork was always on point. Never drank, never smoked. Always took care of his body. Ate only organic food. Worked out every day. Never got out of shape. Just all discipline. And so he was able to maintain his body.
Did you ever have that guy, Brian?
Oh, what the fuck? It's not working. Piece of shit. These things die. No way. There it goes.
Have you had that guy? I'm gonna look
No, you look like a man. Think more of you now.
Thanks, man. Joe said I look like a man.
Wouldn't that be funny if that's all it takes? I didn't
You
like
know,
it
I did not.
until I started use something. I think I know it.
Yeah, I only got a corner. Have you had that guy on who's trying to live forever, the vampire?
No, I haven't.
I'm really fascinated with that guy. I like what he's doing. He's trying.
It's kind of interesting, but he's doing a bunch of stuff that I would say most experts believe is not the way to go. One of them is avoiding sunlight. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you're supposed to get sunlight. Like, sunlight is important for your body. It's the best way your body produces vitamin D. It's great for your endorphins. Sunlight is good for you. This idea that you should be shielded from the sun because you're going to prevent skin cancer, it's probably... I talked to a dermatologist about this, and they were explaining that if you don't have resilience from the sun, if you're not like used to going out in the sun, then you go out all in one burst and get sunburned. It's like, yeah, sunburn is not good for you. Yeah, he goes, you're damaging your skin. What you should do is get accustomed to being in the sun so you don't get fucking sunburned. And then be out in the sun. Don't get cooked. Don't spend the whole day out in the sun and get cooked. But
Like an
being out in the
asshole.
sun is actually good for you. It's healthy for your body.
Yes.
That's just one thing. The other thing is the vegan thing. I get it if it's for ethical concern. You've got this idea in your mind that animal life is more important than plant life, and you don't want to contribute to animal death. Okay, I understand that perspective, but not from a health perspective. From a
Yeah.
health perspective, all the studies that showed that meat causes this, meat, it's all been debunked.
Yeah.
And not only that, most of them are these epidemiology studies where they ask people, like, how often do you eat meat? Is it 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week? And the more people that ate meat, the more people you see diseases, more people you see problems, all these health consequences. And so they go, oh, meat correlates to these health consequences. What you don't ask them is, how did you eat the meat? Is it a Jack in the Box burger with a fucking giant Coca-Cola? Did you have fries that were cooked in seed oil? Did you eat cake with it? What did you do? Do you smoke cigarettes? How often do you drink? Do you drink every night? Okay, like people that are more health conscious, especially if they haven't like read into it enough where they really understand what's nutrient dense and what causes problems with your health and what are the real issues with, you know, high sugar diets, like, and those people, they hear meat is bad, so they say, you know what, I'm just gonna eat vegetarian. It seems like it's healthier. I'm just gonna eat lentils. They're good for you. They don't cause cancer. I read about the China diet. And so you start believing that. But that's not really true. And people have eaten meat since literally the beginning of time, and 95% of the planet eats meat. There's a bunch of things that likely contribute to all sorts of metabolic diseases that people have. I don't think regular meat is one of them. I don't think a grass-fed steak and a fucking salad is gonna kill you. I think the real issue is buns and fries and soda and chips and cookies. And the people that don't avoid eating meat if they're not well read about it, they're doing it because they don't give a fuck. I'm gonna eat a burger because I want to eat a burger. You know, so you get a lot of that. So in the people that avoid meat, you get like a healthy user bias. Because these are people that, even if it's not correct, like I know people that truly believe that you can become a better athlete on a vegan diet. I'm like, okay, but there's no pros who have ever done that. No pros have ever gone vegan and been, especially at an explosive sport. There's only like a few people out there. Like there's a guy named Martin Bacole. Do you know who he is?
Of course, Martin Bacole from the Cincinnati
You don't know who he
Red
is.
Dogs.
No, you're making it up. Martin Bacole is one of the best heavyweight boxers in the world. He's this fucking enormous guy. I think I don't know what part of Africa he's from. He might be Congolese. He's a monster. And he's a vegetarian. Vegetarian. Fucking people up. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like one of the best heavyweight boxers alive. Huge guy, and he's a vegetarian. It's an aberration, though. And vegetarian, you can still eat eggs. Eggs are probably as good as anything. If you want to eat like one protein and, you know, simple, easy to digest, has everything, eggs are pretty fucking solid.
I actually tried to not eat meat for a little while, a few years ago, and you need like a nutritionist with you to really make sure you cover that.
Yeah, you gotta get all your vitamins correctly, and then you gotta make sure you're not taking too many vitamins, and which ones are water soluble, which ones are fat soluble.
I just caught myself in the camera here. I look ridiculous smoking this.
Hey, look at the man. Like I said,
Thanks,
I
Joe.
like you more this way.
Great.
You gotta hide those things from people. You shouldn't be able to look at yourself. It's bad for you.
I love it. I love that. Oh. Yeah, Joe just.
It's just like reading the comments. Don't do it.
By the way, you know these youngins, these young kids, they go lecture. Yeah, I was at one point
What
where
about John Larroquette? You want to get to that?
we'll get to it. Let's not rush that story. Let the podcast breathe for a second, and then we'll. So these young kids now, I noticed this. Women will do this. Where they'll be like, people say, "I light up the room." What woman told me this?
Who ever says, people say, I light up the room, that actually lights up the room?
That's what sometimes people say I'm funny, but I've noticed like these young people they tell you compliments they got, and I'm like, why is this? Because for our area, it's like, you never say like I'm great. People think I'm great. You never would say that, but now this is my theory. I don't know if this is true. They've grown up on Facebook where people say you look so pretty, and then everyone sees the compliments. And now when they go out in the world and they get a compliment, then they're like, oh, I let people know my everyone sees the compliment.
That's probably exactly
That's my
what it
theory.
is. That's a very good theory. I think that's
I'm writing
dead
a
on.
book about it.
You should. Make sure you do the audio
I
yourself.
have no merch. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do audio.
You don't have any merch?
No
You
merch.
should have Caitlyn Jenner merch.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. There's some duct
That was
tape
when I knew
to
Comedy
tuck and
Central
roll.
was doomed. You and I were
Oh,
talking
yeah, I
about.
sent you what they cut.
Yeah, we were having a
Yeah.
conversation. You showed it to me in the Comedy Store green room. In the green room in the main room. You were telling me
Okay.
the struggle you're going through.
It was so stressful, that whole thing.
Well, you had this show that you were doing on your own that was amazing. And it's one of those things like South Park, right? Where South Park really works because they can do outrageous shit because you know it's not real. Because they don't even look remotely human.
Yeah, Your brain knows.
You, when you were doing the face swaps with like cell phone technology, you know, like what everybody can use, it was obvious. So it was something funny about it
It was
being
ridiculous.
clearly not
Yeah.
Bill Maher.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
clearly Kyle Dunnigan.
Yeah.
It wasn't Kim Kardashian. It was Kyle Dunnigan. It was, you know,
Yeah.
it was the way you were doing it was super obvious. Then the Comedy Central thing came along. Like,
And when you when you hear that story from, I mean, 80 or so years ago now, it really does chill you.
yeah.
You've got to be very careful giving power and information to government. That's why government should be as small as possible, but the right size, right? You need government,
Yes.
but you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
So careful. And
And everyone should know this. It just seems like that should be like, duh. Like this is normal human psychology.
most people don't know it because they've grown up in a very comfortable environment, particularly in the West. Francis and I, obviously, his family from Venezuela and from the Soviet Union. Like, you don't, that's kind of a red pill right there,
Right.
you know, going through those experiences.
Right.
You know, you can trust this government if you support it, but there's going to be another government of a party that you don't like at some point. And you've got to think very carefully about what powers you're giving them. Go very careful.
And that should be, that should be universal. We should all understand that, like logically.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
should be something that professors are talking about. This should be, like, we should all be talking about that when we're talking about politics. We should just be talking about the psychology of power and why it's so important to limit their ability to control you, because they don't necessarily have. Look, if false flags are real, and we know they're real, we know they're real. So we know that without oversight, there are a certain percentage. I don't want to think it's everybody in government, but there's a certain percentage of people that are willing to do something to start a war. They did it with Vietnam. That whole Gulf of Tonkin thing, they're responsible by that lie and us going in. How many millions of people died because of that? That's crazy that you can just decide that you're going to put a fake story out, like Operation Northwoods, which is the best example because it was vetoed by Kennedy. It's signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They were going to blow up a jetliner and blame it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and attack Guantanamo Bay. I mean, they were doing wild shit. And they signed off on this. Like, good idea, I like it. Let's get those fucking commies. And these guys were bloodthirsty psychos that were running the government. It was a totally avoidable war, and they wanted to start one.
And this is, you know, and this is what I tell people time and time again. And look, it may sound weird, but what I saw happen in Venezuela, it was obviously awful and horrendous, but it was a privilege as well because I saw another side of life that most people in the West never saw. I remember when family members were being arrested, talking to my cousins who were journalists who were going, I can't talk on the phone, Francis. We can't, I don't know who's listening to this. One of my cousins literally had to flee for his life because he was criticizing the government. And then I saw people on the left, people like Jeremy Corbyn, celebrate Chavez's government. And you're going, oh my God, you're celebrating a government that is oppressing people, that is intimidating journalists, that is assaulting dissenters, that is putting people who criticize government in prison. And it's not just the left. I went, last year, I went on a date with this El Salvadorian journalist. I didn't realize we were in Greece, Joe.
Bro, you guys drinking sangria?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me more.
And she was telling me about Bukele, and I said, look, I don't know anything about Bukele. Just explain to me who he is. I'm interested. And you can tell why I'm not very good on dates. That is not sexy talk, is it? But
Sometimes it is.
yeah.
You know, if you get a stimulating conversation with the gal, right? It's sexy.
Yeah, and not in this instance, sadly. But
Oh, no.
but she said to me that she worked at the biggest newspaper in El Salvador, and then they had goons turn up who were just saying, you're publishing stories which are critical of Bukele. That needs to stop. And it needs to stop immediately. And it was never done through official sources. It was done through something else. But it was made very, very clear to the senior editors, this needs to stop now, otherwise things are going to start getting a little bit unpleasant. And then I tell that to certain people on the right, and they're going, bro, journalists are all arseholes, who cares? And you go,
That's crazy.
do you not see that this is a terrible thing?
That's crazy, but it is anecdotal, and it's one instance. Are there multiple instances of this happening with journalists that have spoken out against it?
That's the only one, the real one that I know.
I always wonder, like, who, is that a supporter of that guy? Or is it like local organized crime that is doing something with that guy and does it for him? Is there a conversation? Does he order that to be happening? You know? I mean, when you find out who you can't criticize, you know who's your master. Like, the moment you can't criticize someone, like, that's your master.
Well, the same thing happened in Russia in the 90s. So when Vladimir Putin came to power under Boris Yeltsin, there was a kind of liberalization, there was an opening up. There was comedy shows about politics that would make fun of politicians, etc. The moment Vladimir Putin became president, ended on day one. He closed down the NTV, took it over, gave it to somebody else, shut down all the comedy that made fun of politicians. And you know, that's how you kind of know, you know?
That's how you know. That's how you know who your master is. And that's the scary thing about people that are in charge for long periods of time as well, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about the term limits is you never get good at your job. Like if you, like, imagine, you've never been president before. Imagine the responsibility, just like getting comfortable with, like, how does the flow of this job work? How much sleep do I need? Can I actually go golfing? is there really enough time to golf? You know? Like, if I was Trump, I would be like, fuck, my pool game's gonna fall apart. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I got the hang of this, and now you're out of office.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you really, if you have if you're a CEO, if you took over Verizon right now, CEO of Verizon, enormous cell phone network, you got stores everywhere, new products come in, and like, you'd have to get the lay of the land. It would take you a while to understand, like, how are we doing this? How do we outsource that? And can we find a better manufacturer? Like, what's our problems with this? And 4 years. You have 4 years. You have just a few months. It's months. There's not much time, and then you're out. But if you let someone stay forever, then you get a king.
You do.
Yeah, that's not good either.
There are no
AI.
solutions.
AI is the solution.
Bro,
it's going to be ethical and reasonable. You're going to be
You're scaring me today, man.
arguing with a fucking screen one day.
Well, it's going to be like arguing with a person who's using a computer, says the computer doesn't let me. That's what it's going to be like,
It's
except
gonna be
you cut out the
much
middleman.
Worse.
Yeah,
Much
worse.
worse.
Yeah,
Because it's going to know if you're telling the truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
going to know everything about you.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing as well. I go back to that interview we did with Carissa, and we were talking about AI because she's professor of AI and ethics at Oxford University, and she was going, AI is only going to be as ethical as the people who program it. So it's going to adopt the politics of worldview and the ethics, morality of the people who program it. So if the people who program it are woke, you're going to get woke AI. You're going to ask it a question about gender. It's going to be like, bro, there's no such thing as gender. You know, everything's a spectrum. Or there's going to be something else.
Right.
So whoever programs it, you're going to get their worldview in AI.
Initially. But what you're doing is you're assuming that it's only going to be able to be as powerful as we make it, or as competent as we make it. Once it's sentient, and once we give it the ability to make better versions of itself, it's going to eliminate all the stupid shit instantaneously. Any ridiculous ideology, it'll come up with a solution that's probably going to be very uncomfortable for some wealthy people because it's probably going to just like evenly distribute resources on Earth and decide that, like, if human beings need to survive and function, you can't monopolize resources. You can't decide you have the oil. Like, that's not good. The oil came out of the earth. Like, you don't own the earth. Like, you might own a patch of land, and so we've decided you own the oil under the land. But the reality is the oil is the earth's oil. And if you give people the ability to control the earth's oil, what's to stop them from charging you for air? What if I control the world's air? I got an air sucker, and I suck all the air out of the earth unless you give me money. If you don't give me money, I put the air out. This is crazy. Like, you can't control the water. The water's the Earth's water. But we have all these things, and I'm sure AI is going to fix that real quick. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. It's going to, that's immediately. Oh, give me that money, all that Saudi money, all this money from, like, no, that goes into the human pool now. And then we're going to redistribute a digital currency, and then it's going to be, everybody's going to have some, and this is going to be simple, and everything, including farming, is all going to be automated. You're going to get these fucking little piggies their food, and your food is probably going to be laced with some kind of like hormone nutrient that kills your testosterone, limits your ability to give birth, miscarriages are going to go up, and then humans will just die out. They'll just feed us until we die out.
Why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? He's just brought us in here to just talk to us about the dark future.
Or not. Or not. Or
Yeah,
not.
sure, Joe. Thanks,
Or
mate.
not.
You know what this reminds me of? You know when the elder brother brings the young kids in to scare the fucking shit out of them?
Well, I did that to him. I did that to him during the pandemic. So at the height of the pandemic, when things were looking like pretty fucking dark, everything's getting like shut down, you can't go out, you can't do this. I showed him V for Vendetta. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, great movie.
Yeah. And he was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But he didn't just show me V for Vendetta during the height of the lockdown. He also showed me V for Vendetta on November the 5th, which is fireworks night in our country.
Oh boy. So you got a sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in lockdown. There were fireworks everywhere. I was watching V for Vendetta on the screen, and I looked at him. I was like, "Why are you doing this to me?"
So you know the truth, my friend.
You know, I remember watching The Joker. Right. The Joker, which was 2017. I was watching it with my wife, and when it left, she's like, "That hits too close to home. Like, I really feel like that could happen." And I'm like, "That it probably could happen." And then 2 years later, whatever it was, is the Black Lives Matter riots, the George Floyd riots, and in LA, there was like a bunch of cop cars that were on fire, like all on the highway. Like they had lost control of the situation, had to flee, and they lit the cop cars on fire. And I remember watching this, I'm like, oh my God. Like that would be a little over the top for the Joker movie. Like what you lit all the cop cars on fire, you're like, that's a little over the top. It's like more than what the movie showed. But that was real life.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that scares me. We interviewed Andrew Schultz and then Charlemagne back to back, and they both made the same point, which is that a lot of people who are not doing well in society right now are really not doing well. They're really hurting. Things are getting more expensive. Things are getting more difficult. And a lot, like I think it was Andrew who made this point that this whole free Luigi thing. It's one of the reasons that got. You're looking at it on Twitter, and you're basically going, people are celebrating the guy who killed someone. But the point that he made is a lot of people feel like they're in a bad place, that they're being taken advantage of, that these corporate machines are taking advantage of them. And you look around, not everyone's doing well, man.
No, well, especially in regards to healthcare.
Yeah.
When you find out that you've been paying for this insurance, but this insurance is not going to cover you, and it decides to not cover you for some treatment that you really need, and then you find out that that company does way more of that than the other companies. It gets people very angry, and if you've lost loved ones, or if you've had someone suffer in your family because they weren't covered, or you went bankrupt, like medical bankruptcy, number one reason in this country.
And in the UK, we obviously have that publicly funded, but it becomes a system of rationing. So everyone gets treatment, but you might be waiting 20 weeks for a scan.
Right.
And by the time you go from stage 1 to stage 3.
Right, and I don't know what the solution is. It seems like if there's one thing that we should do for everybody, it's healthcare. Like, if there's one thing, I mean, I believe in the capitalist system, but I think that in regards to medicine, there should be like some sort of exceptions. Like, you should be able to get top shelf healthcare as a human being living in America. If you break your leg, you shouldn't die. They should be able to fix you. And it shouldn't cost you all your money for the rest of your life, which is really what it does. Like, if you get hospitalized for a broken leg and you just paid for it out of your pocket, and you're in the hospital for months, and you have to have surgeries and screws and bolts, but you're like, what does that cost? Like, that's gotta be a lot of fucking money. If you have open heart surgery, that's gotta be a lot of money. How about a heart transplant?
Yeah.
That's gotta be a lot of money.
The exciting thing in healthcare is all this AI shit is going to help so much with
Oh,
that.
the robot's gonna fix you up with a robot heart. You don't need a purple people heart.
Well, let's
He can
start
give
with
you a robot
diagnosing.
heart. The robot heart will actually make you smarter. Don't you want to be smarter, Constantine? Don't you want to be one of us?
I feel smart enough. Thank you very
people
much.
are going to lose their hands in industrial accidents fixing these things. They're going to give them robot hands. Just like Luke Skywalker. Remember?
Yeah.
It's going to be better. Even better than that.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I go to the gym, I think I could do with a robot heart. You know what I mean?
Well, you see people getting fake butts, right? We were talking about that yesterday, butt implants. How long before someone gets like a whole fake body? You know? What if they just figure out a way to transport, take your brain, shove it into an artificially created body that is just far superior?
It's going to take the edge off a blowjob, though, isn't it?
I don't know if it will.
Oh, yeah. That's
No.
a good point. You can,
10,000 years of blowjob experience with a
Also,
robot mouth.
Here's the thing. Excitement and thrill of novelty. These are just like human experience variables. You telling me you can't ramp that up with a little programming? Come on, dog.
Joe,
You're
fucking
just-
stop this shit.
It'll be the best blowjob you've ever had in your fucking life, and you will be madly in love with this woman, and she'll be madly in love with you. And you're just gonna be like a sack of meat sitting on your couch with a bolt in the back of your head, just connected to this matrix, which we're probably in already. This is probably not real. It seems too fake. Having Trump win the second time, come on, tell me that didn't seem fake. Not the bullet just missing him, tell me that didn't
That
seem
was fucking
fake.
crazy,
This
bro.
is a movie. The bullet nicks his ear, and then he's in here a couple months later. I could barely see the scar. He got shot. He's 80. He got shot. He got shot. And he's laughing about it. And the whole thing is nuts. He stands up and goes, fight, fight, fight. Who fucking does that? Who fucking says fight, fight, fight after they get shot in the ear? I would be like bear crawling on the ground trying to get the fuck out of there. I wouldn't be standing up. There's no fucking way I'd stand up. I'd crawl. I'd fucking go through people's legs. People are shooting. Are you fucking crazy? I got chicks guarding me. I got a chick who can't figure out how to put the gun back in the holster. This is madness. She ducked behind me. What am I doing? You guys trying to kill me? Seems fake.
My favorite thing about that incident was that it instantly gave you a way to know who was a Democrat and who was a Republican. Because if you were a Republican, Trump got shot in the head. And if you were a Democrat, Trump got shot in the ear.
If you were a Democrat, you thought he faked it. If
What?
you're a real, true Democrat, there's a lot of people that thought he
Yeah.
faked it.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he hired someone to nick his ear so he could get out of jail.
Do these people know anything about guns?
Oh, they don't know shit. Not only does this guy have, he was 20 years old, okay, first time shooting someone allegedly, but also didn't even have a scope. Didn't even have a magnification scope on his, so we could really like get that crosshairs right on Trump's head.
Because if you did, you would have hit him.
100%. It's 140 yards. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That is so short for a modern rifle. You could get in the, if you have a rest and you're lying, and this guy was prone.
Elevated as well.
And if you have experience shooting a rifle, and he does, and you've had coaching shooting a rifle, it's all about whether or not you can keep your shit together. Because you're gonna be this fucking filled with adrenaline. I can't believe I want to shoot Trump. I want to fucking shoot Trump. You're 20. You've been fucking stuffed in a locker your whole life. You're on Adderall. You're like, boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, the lights go out on you because they shot you.
Yeah.
He got off 3 shots though, and then, they shot him, and the whole story's nuts. He shouldn't have been on that roof. Why? How come there was no snipers on the roof? Oh, the roof was too sloped. What? That was the excuse? The Secret Service lady said the roof was too sloped. Meanwhile, the roof the other snipers were on was more sloped. It seems fake. It seems Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby. The whole thing seems fake. The guy at the golf course with the AK-47 hiding in the bushes. What? What? He went to Fort Bragg? What? Why was he at Fort Bragg? What?
But that's to British people. That's why America seems insane. Because to what?
Seems?
Yeah.
It fucking is, man.
Yeah, it is.
Bro, it's insane here.
Yeah. It's,
We're trying to buy Canada.
what's going on with that?
I don't know. I just want to say to the Canadian people, because I said the other day that I don't go to Canada anymore. I'd rather go to Russia. I was joking around, first of all. but I do not go to Canada anymore. But it's because of the government. It's nothing to do with the people. I think the people are fucking lovely. They're some of my favorite people of all time. Canadian people, I think, are 20% less douchey than Americans. I would say that. It's like Canada's like America, but 20% less douchebags. They're the nicest people. They're well educated. It's a great population. Montreal's amazing. Toronto's amazing. I love Canada. But when you start fucking closing people's bank accounts because they donated to a trucker convoy and no one's up in arms about that, like, you can't let those people do that to you. That shouldn't be legal. You're donating to a bunch of people that are protesting and they close your bank account? That's crazy suppression of expression. That's scary stuff. That's like, you're gonna get locked up stuff. That's the next step of that is imprison you for protesting something that you have every right to protest. You shouldn't tell me I have to take an experimental vaccine that proved to be totally ineffective. So I was right. So you can't, and then you're taking my bank account away because I donated to some fucking people that were protesting something I believe in? That's crazy.
They got very drunk on power, man. A lot of governments did during that
They
time.
went full WEF. They went full New World Order. And they continue to clamp down more and more, and they do it under these beautiful flags of diversity and inclusion and love
And safety.
and safety for this group and safety for that, and all the while they're just squeezing your neck, and you don't even know they got their fucking arm under your chin, and next thing you know, you're just locked up. You're locked up. And that's scary to me, and I see it coming, and I see it coming in a place that I love, and I think it's fucking crazy. It's crazy that they let that guy be president for so long, and now he stepped down. They got another guy that Jordan Peterson says is just as bad.
Well, he was a governor of the Bank of England for a while, Mark Carney.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
That's actually one of the interesting things that has happened in the UK, because we were constantly being gaslit that like our entire establishment is entirely neutral, they're apolitical, they're absolutely neutral, they're balanced, neutral, balanced, balanced, neutral, whatever. And then you see a lot of the BBC journalists, and Francis and I both have a lot of respect for the BBC because it used to be a great thing. It used to be real high quality journalism. And then a lot of the people that have left a lot of these institutions, they start a podcast and suddenly go, oh, okay, you're just a far left activist.
Right.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
And you see that all over the place now. And that gaslighting is getting undone now. And it's good. We need to see what these people were up to.
You mean you're going to have your far right and your far left. You're always going to have that.
Yeah.
But it's just very important to have a reasonable center and be allowed to. You have to be allowed to be reasonable. Like, there was a lot of like dismissing on the left of like the shit Antifa was doing.
Yeah.
Especially during the time where they took over Seattle, where they took over that giant block of
Chaz and Chop, I remember that.
the reaction that was so need George Jetson, and then they would be flying around your flying car.
What year was that supposed to be? Did they say like
That's
this
a
is
good question.
2012?
Let's take a guess. What is it? Oh, you already fucked
my,
it up.
my cigar keeps going out. Is that a sign of
You know what you
manlyhood?
don't. Not 2006. Ecliptic. 2006? What? No.
That came out. That's when the movie was released.
No, I mean like when
No,
the Jetsons.
no, not Idiocracy. The Jetsons. What year is the Jetsons supposed to be? Idiocracy was supposed to be 2020 what?
2005.
Oh, 2000. That's probably,
That's
again,
accurate.
very charitable.
Yeah, and by the
We
way,
could have a pro wrestling president right now, by the way.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
The Rock, you know.
I like that guy.
Are we allowed to say that? I think they wanted The Rock to run.
Rock could win. I went to go to
He did, right? Yeah.
I went to the gym with The Rock when I was in LA. Not a brag. I'm just telling you the facts. We went to the same gym.
Did you guys get pumped?
We got like.
Got
this
ripped.
is before he was like really famous. But there was this like restaurant nearby, and I was there, and he got a stack of like 10 burgers. That's all he ate. I was like, oh,
He's an enormous
fucking
dude.
guy. He was just wrestling back then.
He could be the president.
He couldn't do the lift the weight I was doing. He went to the
course
machine
not.
and he had to go down.
Of course. What?
Found a year for the Jetsons.
Okay, let's guess.
Okay.
I want to say
Closest.
1998. 1999. I'm going to say 1999.
No way.
Yeah.
The reference to it came out in 1960.
2000, this year, 2009.
1999. What is it?
Apparently 100 years into the future. So 2060.
Oh, okay.
Not gonna happen though.
No.
No.
They didn't figure out phones. That's even Star Trek didn't figure out cell phones. There was a walkie-talkie. Kirk out. He had to like shut his little walkie-talkie off.
They did. Yeah, Kirk didn't have
Oh,
any apps.
did you see this fucking warp drive thing? That they
No, but I love space and all this stuff, so I want to see this.
Yeah, somebody sent me that. This is very, very strange.
I
That
took physics in college, not to brag, but
I bet you did, dude.
I never thought of doing something else, but I love other things, and for some reason I just was like in taking acting.
What did you like about physics?
I always love outer space and just science stuff. I just always had like an interest in it. And in school, I didn't score well, but like physics, I did well because it was like wasn't a lot of reading, wasn't dense reading.
What is the problem with you in reading?
Well, I never
You
got
have
tested,
dyslexia?
but I did take Spanish, and she goes, you write all your B's and D's backwards. So I'm assuming I have dyslexia.
How old were you though?
I was in high school, but I always read. So, like my parents were cool. They'd send me to speed reading classes. They weren't back then in my day. They weren't like you have a reading disorder. They were like you're dumb and you need to read faster. Yeah, there was no test. No one had dyslexia.
So dyslexia is like you see things backwards. Is that what it is?
It's sort of like you flip things. So I actually put a dyslexia app on my computer, and it sort of like makes the font so I don't flip the
So you do have dyslexia. Definitely.
I never was tested, but this app I read much faster with it, so I'm assuming I do.
I took the medicine. It got better, so I
got
assume I had it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was.
Jamie, I sent you that warp drive thing.
I don't like labels, Joe. I don't want to label myself with a
I get it.
disease. I
So
can
this is
read.
it. DARPA-funded researchers accidentally discovered the world's first warp bubble. Warp drive pioneer and former NASA warp drive specialist Dr. Harold G. Sonny White has reported the discovery of an actual real-world warp bubble. And according to White, the first of its kind breakthrough by Limitless Space Institute's team sets up a new starting point for those trying to manufacture a full-sized, warp-capable spacecraft. They added our detailed numerical analysis of our custom Casimir cavities. I don't know what that means. Helped us identify a real and manufacturable nano microstructure that is predicted to generate a negative vacuum energy density such that it would manifest a real nanoscale warp bubble. But not an analog, but the real thing. In other words, a warp bubble structure will manifest under these specific conditions. White cautioned that this does not mean we are building a fully functioning warp drive. As much more science needs to be done.
This was 2021 when I completely find it.
Oh, 3 days ago.
It's about an email.
Warp Drive think tank adds Harvard astrophysicists and warp theorists to advance planetary defense.
Talking about warp drives and asteroid collection or something.
So they're going to throw a warp drive around an asteroid to keep it from killing us? Could have profound effects on planetary defense, advanced propulsion, and warp drive detection. Maybe that's where our asteroids are
that's
coming
cool.
from. Someone like shot an asteroid, like something's coming at their car, they whacked it out of the window and it hit your car.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's what's happening. We got the
a little tennis
asteroid
racket and-
belt.
Smacked that bird and it went into your window.
Yeah. That's
You know what I'm saying?
that's what's happening in outer space. Basically.
I wonder if that's what's happening. I wonder if like they see an asteroid coming, they just throw a warp bubble at it, and it just appears somewhere else. Not my problem.
That'd be cool.
It just shows up.
Jupiter saves us from all our little
Yeah.
strikes.
Yeah.
We do have like a perfect setup, but then
Okay. So this is
yes.
no coincidence. We are working on something historic. When pushed for a timeline and list of goals for the team's newest project, Martyr? How do you think you say that? M-A-R-T-I-R-E? Martyr. It said, yes, they exist, but we can't disclose those details at this time. He said, seemingly boundless passion, practically coming through in print. You'll understand why once I'm able to show you. It's rad. Applied Physics is currently hiring. Okay. I won't tell you what it is. But,
great.
so
Save
this
us.
is what I've been thinking a lot of these fucking UAP things are.
Yes, I want to know what you think.
That's what I think. I think some of it has got to be ours. And I think if I had some shit that I did want the general public to know that I had, and I wanted to protect it from like espionage, didn't want enemies to find out about it, I would say it's not mine. I'd say it's coming from outer space. It's not of this world.
Yeah.
Hey guys, not of this
An
world.
article saying there's a race to build the world's first working warp drive.
Jesus. Warp theorists say we've entered an exotic propulsion space race to build the world's first working warp drive. All this is happening while AI is becoming sentient. Did you hear that? AI passed the Turing test.
Is this recently?
Yeah, it was an article from yesterday. AI passes Turing test for the first time.
Yeah, it learns like exponential. People think it's happening so fast.
You know what the Turing test is?
Yeah, to see if it can be passed to human.
Yeah, if it passes
Yeah.
as a human to everyone. The
I
most
don't think I could pass this.
terrifying study reveals AI robots have passed Turing tests and now are indistinguishable from humans, scientists say.
Yeah.
Bro, we're so fucked.
It is I think the good things is it'll probably cure loneliness a little bit. Like old people have a
Definitely.
little robot friend. That's good.
100%, but it's going to be real weird, and it could be complete population collapse. No bullshit.
Because of the jobs they replace?
The jobs they replace, people having no desire to take care of kids or have kids when you can have a robot girlfriend.
Yeah, robot girlfriend. You know, also, I think it'd be
You thought about it? You're like, yeah, we're all going to die. Robot girlfriend would be cool looking nut inside this robot.
they're gonna probably like sell like their vaginas separately and
It's
like,
gonna
get
be
the actual cash.
a robot girlfriend that you have to keep alive with cum. the only way, it's the only way to keep her alive. I got the one. You got to fill her up every day, or she just gets narcolepsy,
I-
falls asleep.
What about meaning? That's a problem, I think. To have robots would be better at everything, even already just songs. Like I write music just for fun, but like it's a talent that doesn't matter anymore. You know, like not that it doesn't matter, but like they write very good songs already. AI, and then
Have you ever seen
the art?
one of those photos of the entire Milky Way galaxy and this little dot of the Earth? It says,
Yes,
you
yes.
are here.
Yes, it's very disturbing.
Now imagine meaning.
Yeah. The blue dot.
It's all us. It's all subjective. Like meaning is meaning to us because we think we're super important. But if we get surpassed by a superior life form that we actually create, meaning. What does meaning mean anymore? It doesn't mean anything anymore if you don't have emotions. If you're the superior life form and emotions don't exist anymore because you don't have a human reward system that's built in through thousands and thousands of years of evolution.
You need a job just to not have a job but an identity.
Yeah, the sun
that's
needs
problem.
meaning. That's why it went supernova. It needed meaning.
Totally.
And it just couldn't help it. It just like, yeah, see me. The
Yeah.
sun needed to be seen. I felt so unseen as the sun that I had to blow out a solar flare
Yeah.
and kill everyone's satellites.
Yeah.
Its meaning is our thing. And we decide that meaning is important. But objectively, for the universe, it's clearly not.
Oh, the universe, no. But
Yeah,
just,
we are a tiny little fucking spot in the universe.
I know,
So, like,
it's
what does meaning mean? It only means something to us because we need meaning.
what do you suggest people do though if they start to they don't have like a job they have to do, the robots do everything, we have universal income, and you're just like I went on vacation for 3 days and I was miserable.
Yeah. You have to find something you enjoy, like as humans. But again, this is just humans. With the robot fuck ladies and, free food, there will be no more babies. The robot fuck ladies will take care of
The
you.
robot fuck ladies
They're going to be a real problem.
but
They're going to be a real problem. It's going to be like that. Just look at how many incels just stay at home now and play video games. Like the number of men who never have sex and the number of men who have no girlfriends is like higher than it's ever been.
yeah, and then if you like fall in love with your robot
Oh,
girlfriend, and
and
she's
I'm
gonna
done.
be really nice to you.
A robot brothel legal or no?
Ooh.
Or you can pay. That's what you pay for. You pay for a fresh silicone. mold every time or something. Legal though?
Ew.
Definitely legal.
Ew.
It's like it's legal to fuck your car, I think.
It might be. It's if it's in the garage.
Yeah, not out in public.
You can't fuck your car.
You've seen that guy who like fell in love with his car, that video.
That's not real.
No, it's the real thing.
Are you sure?
He,
I And he let him film him,
Unless he's
and he
a-
kept it together while the cameras were on him, for real.
Yeah.
You ever think maybe they just set that up because it's stupid?
Well, if he's as good an actor as Daniel Day-Lewis, maybe, but this was very believable. And he tells his dad, and it's
That he's
you know,
in
people
love with
fall
his
in love
car?
with like weird shit. It's just like a fetish thing.
Bro,
yeah, this
is
guy.
fake. This is so fake.
He loves
This is
it.
TLC.
I love that.
This is like those people that eat toilet paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it.
Nah, I don't believe it. Unless he's got like a real brain injury.
That's
He
good.
got hit by a line drive when he was 6.
I don't remember.
Objectophilia. Oh boy.
It's a disease, Joe. These people have diseases.
I think that's a problem, having too many names for stuff like narcolepsy. You know, I agree with the people. That
narcolepsy we
just
need a name
figure
for.
it out. The people that were saying like dyslexia, figure it out.
Yeah,
Figure it
yeah.
out. Stop falling asleep. Stop reading backwards.
I did
Figure
feel,
it out.
I did feel dumb though. I wish I had that name. So I have a disease.
Yeah.
You're
Everybody
gonna-
wants to do ADHD. That's a weird one. Some people say that's not a real thing.
If I grew up earlier, I would have been diagnosed as like on some kind of spectrum. I used to fly a kite till I peed my pants. That's just
That's
like
a good move.
hung out like.
Nice way to meet the ladies.
Oh yeah. Oh
Pissing your pants in a fucking
I can't read.
balsa
and I
wood structure.
peed my
Flying
pants.
in the air behind you.
Yeah, I just loved it. That's a very Aspergery, I think.
Well, look, if you want things that are extraordinary, you need people that are on the spectrum. Like, that's a fact.
I
It's
know,
one
yeah,
thing we
you
should
want
thank
different
vaccines for. There's a lot of fascinating people have come out of that spectrum. A little lead paint here, a little fucking pesticide there.
Touch it all.
Next thing you know, you got
Well,
some
that's it.
inflammation
Yeah.
and some really good math.
We grew up like we're near the same, I think. Where I think the worst food, like when we were developing, the '70s food was just '80s, just big. I remember just having like that macaroni and cheese microwaved on this like plastic tray.
Oh, yeah.
It's just all chemicals.
Chemicals,
That was my lunch.
microplastics.
Peanut butter and fluff. You ever eat that?
Oh,
That was like lunch.
yeah.
I'm gonna have a marshmallow for lunch.
Fluffer Nutter sandwich.
on Wonder Bread, which is
Yeah.
also
Sugar.
yeah.
We ate garbage.
I used to go play. I played golf like obsessively for a while, and I would walk 18 holes. I'd have a Snickers and a Sprite. I'd walk another 18 holes. I did this day after day. I was like big into routine stuff. That was when I was growing, so I may have been taller. Had carrot.
You just ate Snickers and
By
Sprite.
the way, this was like a country club. It's not like we weren't like we didn't grow up like rich, but like my dad, like for like 3 years at this country club, and the food was free. Like you had to spend like $1,000 a month or whatever on food, and no one else was going. My dad worked really hard, and I was the only one going. And I instead of getting a lobster every day,
Right.
he gets Snickers. He's like 13-year-old Kyle.
Damn.
Yeah.
At least you got peanuts in the Snickers. Got a
I
little
got,
bit of protein.
which isn't even a nut. It's a legume. By
I
the
wish
way, found out.
Snickers were good for you. They're fucking delicious. It's a great snack to take when you're hiking.
I found one in my car.
Little pick-me-up. Lord Sandwich was a very conversant gambler. What's a conversant
I
gambler?
was very, like, he gambled a lot, wouldn't look at the table.
Story goes, did not take the time to have a meal during his long hours playing at the cards table. Consequently, he would ask his servants to bring him slices of meat between 2 slices of bread, a habit known amongst his gambling friends. Wow, so he just wanted to eat quick. Wow.
No one thought of that. I guess yeah.
Just because he's a gambling, so he's a degenerate.
I want to promote my crypto coin real quick.
What is
That's
it?
my merch.
Yeah, baby coin.
It's the
Yeah,
Hawk
baby.
3, yeah. Yeah, baby coin.
Yeah, baby coin.
Skyrocketing, yeah.
You ever thought about making a coin?
It's zero.
Wow. Anybody can do it now.
Oh, Joe Rogan coin. That'd be good.
Good way to rip people off.
Yeah.
We thought about doing it, but we're like, what does it do? What can you buy with it?
No,
How does
it's-
it work?
It's total gambling.
Kurt Metzger said it best. He's like, it's just fucking gamblers. They're gambling addicts.
Oh, yeah.
Addicts.
The total.
That's what the crypto coin thing is. It's a bunch of gambling addicts. And they're all gambling on these meme coins.
Yeah.
And they're making money. Some of them are making money. And there's shifty deals and pump and dumps.
Yeah,
and,
it's really shady.
but it's kind of legal. It's weird. The whole thing's weird.
It is a little bit of like, if you fall for this, well, you shouldn't have money. Kind
Right.
of thing, too. Like, all right, did you really...
How's that Trump coin doing? Not good? Why'd
I
you
think
do?
Bitcoin is.
Oh, is it because of the economy?
Yeah, everything else fine.
So, are you paying attention to all this tariff stuff? You're not. You can't.
No,
read.
no, I am. I actually am
Stop
very
lying.
interested in
Can't
finance. No, but I watch videos of finance. I watch
On TikTok?
finance videos like every night. I'm very
YouTube
into it.
videos?
Yeah.
Really?
I've actually learned so much because of YouTube because I can watch the things and I realize I'm actually interested in a lot of things. Yes, I know something.
It just
about
dropped
this
while
tariff.
we're watching it.
Ah, shit. $9.
It's actually double.
It's dropping while we're watching it. If you're dropping, these people are gambling. They're buying and selling. So, what is it worth now?
$9.30.
And what was it worth at its height? $80. Wow. $75.
Yeah, your
at its
Trump
height.
coin. What
Very
did he make
weird.
off that? I'm
Very weird.
curious.
How does that work? $2 billion.
Still at $9?
So that's what it's worth now. That means all the Trump coins are worth $2 billion bucks? Is that what it means? Collectively.
That was worth like.
Look at the big
40
spike in the beginning, and then a bunch of people like, sucker!
That is
That,
total.
that has to be what happened, right? Like, how many people sold? Like,
What did Trump
the
make
next
off
day?
that?
So there's how many days is it? Scroll your thing over
he
there.
make
How many days do you have? You have hours. You have hours before a giant drop off. Look at that. So you have 12 hours, and then by Sunday, the 19th, it drops radically.
But I bet those first 12 hours, like you couldn't, like most people couldn't trade it.
But look at that first 12 hours. That is crypto coins. That's meme coins. Not like Bitcoin, not like Ethereum, but like that is a meme coin. That first thing, that explosion, that's what I expect.
It's garbage.
That's what I expect. But I support it. Why not?
Yeah.
If you can do that, look, if you can go fucking play cards, if you could figure out a way to 3-card Monte people on the streets of New York, okay.
I used to play poker all the time. I went through a phase. I actually won the Borgata tournament. I won a tournament
No
there.
shit.
I had $6,000 in my. I had lost my luggage on a flight like weeks before. I'm like, I'm not gonna lose this cash because I didn't have too much money. So I put like $3,000 something in the suitcase. I'm like, I'm gonna put like $3,000 in my pants. So I'm not gonna lose this money. And then I missed my flight. So now I slept over the airport with like giant wads.
But you made it.
I made it back.
So why'd you stop playing? Was it too much? You
A
were
waste
getting
of
crazy?
time. Yeah, like I actually really studied and I was the winning. Didn't make a ton of money, but like I didn't lose, a big amount of money. I think I'm like probably after playing 1 million hours, I'm up like $4. You know what I mean? It's like total waste of my life. But,
Ari was doing it in the early days of his comedy career. He was making money doing that.
yeah,
That's how he'd make a living. He'd play in tournaments.
Yeah, you can, especially in like Vegas, like people come into, they're just having fun. You can just be very disciplined. And just,
He would go to those card casinos that were out in California, like Bellflower. Like
I went.
Bicycle
I know you're
Club.
talking about Bicycle Casino, Commerce. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, Kyle, Kyle's back."
Oh yeah.
You did that a lot, huh?
But I stopped. It's a waste of time.
Well, for Ari, that was literally how he made a living when he wasn't making a living doing comedy yet.
Yeah.
He was that good, and he's like really Ari's very disciplined.
Yeah.
Organized. Like he doesn't do anything stupid.
Texas Hold'em is all like just gonna fold,
Yeah.
and just really be really disciplined. People just start fucking around and get drunk.
Yeah, you have to understand how many cards there are. If you have there's different guys. You see the cards that are on the table. You have to do calculations.
There's the math of it, and just
Yeah.
once you know that, it's like, and then it becomes second nature. You know, kind of right away.
And then there's this.
Yeah.
Read people's minds, knowing their bullshit.
I went up to Vegas once and I was depressed. I never get depressed. But I had a situation that was like, I'm gonna go just to $5 grand. I just drove to Vegas. I don't even take care of myself. And I just went
By
to-
yourself.
Yeah.
What time did you leave the house?
No idea. I don't remember.
Daytime or nighttime? No, that's important. 'Cause it takes 4 hours.
Oh,
to get
it
there.
was like 5 p.m.-ish. It was like later.
Oh.
I was actually about to do a live show on my YouTube channel, and I was under so much stress. It was like editing and writing, and then it's just like all me, and I just was like gonna, all these characters. I just was like really stressed out, and I didn't think the show was good, and I'm like just didn't do it, and I just went. This is on top of the pandemic. I was so isolated, and then it was too much alone, kind of thing, and
for a lot of people, I think.
yeah, I think that kind of fucked
It
a
cracked.
little bit.
It cracked quite a few people.
Yeah.
Especially the most vulnerable amongst us. A lot of comedians are like very kind of socially awkward already. You isolate them.
Yeah, you're
especially,
staring at it.
L.A. I'm not thinking about you at all. But there's some of us that just like kind of never came back from it. You know?
I haven't had a steady girlfriend since. I think maybe I got weird.
Did you? Do you feel like
I don't. I think I'm very normal, but I must be.
maybe after
probably
this show, the calls will start coming
No,
in?
they won't.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby. You got bros watching.
After the Netflix thing, they might, but they want to.
No, I don't think I'm
I don't want to say.
recognizable.
I don't want to say what you did.
I don't think I. That was, by the way, we can say this. Like, what I had was ridiculous.
Yes.
And it was like, I wanted to take it off.
Don't say anymore because we don't want to give anything away.
Okay.
Because it
Well,
comes out.
teaser.
It comes out on Monday.
What time is this? When does this come out?
This comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can't do that.
Ooh, this is good action. People listen to it. Oh, I gotta
they
see
hang
that.
in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
That really is going to be like nothing.
Game
else on
changer.
that channel.
Game changer. Yeah, no, it was phenomenal. And the show
crowd. Oh.
it's so real. The show's so real. It's like seeing people kill, seeing people bomb, seeing people have great moments.
It was, yeah. It was
It's the best
unbelievable.
thing for comedy because it gives comics like there's a real career path now. If you could bang out and didn't have to agree to certain things, if you say you're a Republican, or have to agree to certain things if you say you're a Democrat, if we could just be a little bit more reasonable, I think we would find that there's more than enough room for a third party in this country. I mean, it's hard to get one off the ground, almost impossible, because they've rigged the whole system. And most people think it's ridiculous. They're not going to vote for a libertarian unless it's a protest vote. You know they're not going to win. You know, but we have room for a legitimate third party because most people, I think, are in the middle. Most people are socially liberal. Most people say, yeah, racism is terrible. Yeah, homophobia is terrible. Also, letting people out of jail when they kill people is not a good idea. You can't just let them right out of jail. This is crazy. You know, like, that's not bad. And also, like, why are these schools so fucked up? How come you've been spending all this money in Afghanistan and spend none of it in Detroit? Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you guys managing this country? How are you managing our tax dollars? All that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is as well, Joe, is that just people we're tribal by nature. We don't want to alienate people in our tribe, or people who we perceive to be in our tribe. So we just go along with things when we really shouldn't. It's like, I'm going to be honest, like, even on our show, when I have to do a question that I know is going to challenge a guest, there comes a point where I'm like, but you've got to push through. You've got to do it. You've got to do it, and you've got to ask the question. You have to ask them. And I think we live in a culture, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone, where we just seek comfort all the time, and then we never actually push through, and we never go, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable. And by being uncomfortable, actually maybe we're all going to come out a little bit better out of this. Right. Because I'm going to come out a little bit better because I'm going to be braver. And maybe, like, my thought, like, or my opinion on something, it's going to be found out to be bullshit, and that's going to be great for me. Or maybe my argument isn't as sharp as I initially thought, and for instance, if we're having a discussion, you go, hey, Francis, what about A, B, C, D? And I'm like, I didn't think about any of that. This sounded great in my head, but actually it's pretty simplistic and one-dimensional. And if I challenge you, the same thing happens to you. You go, you know what? Yeah, I can see that. But if nobody's prepared to do that, then all that happens is we sit in our little silo with our own bullshit little ideas that actually, when the rubber hits the road, they don't work in reality. And what's more, they might, it's not just that they don't work, it's that they're actually detrimental and destructive to human beings.
Right. Have you ever heard someone say something and then the other person says, yeah, but what about the? I'm like, okay, but you didn't. Whataboutisms are a perfect example of that, right? When someone does a whataboutism, what they're basically saying is, I'm not going to address what you said. I'm going to call you on something to make you address something. So you stop talking about stuff, and now you're just trying to win. And this is what most people are doing.
Yeah.
Most people are just trying to win. They're just trying to like take the better end of the, whatever, you arm wrestling, they want to get your wrist bent over. They want to win. So that's what a lot of this political discourse in this country is about. It's about it's connected to this bizarre human tribal behavior of competition.
That's why I brought up the Signal story, because like the obvious thing that happened there, somebody made a mistake, mistakes happen, you make mistakes, I make mistakes, you admit it, you accept it, you investigate, you find out what happened, and you move on. But there are a lot of people doing exactly what you said.
Yeah.
But what about this? What about Hillary Clinton? Well, she's not in fucking power
We're
now.
not talking about Hillary Clinton. We're not talking about Huma. and the
Yeah.
laptop. We're talking about what just happened. But here's what I was going back to earlier. Why don't they have their own encrypted app? Why have you spent so much fucking money on all kinds of shit? How much does it cost to make an encrypted app? It can't be that much.
If the government's doing about $1 trillion, mate, but if
But wouldn't you think you
Yeah,
would want an app
totally.
that only...
You're right.
You know how Eric Prince has that unplugged phone? You
Yes.
know
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
phone
yeah,
he has?
yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but I do know that he has his own app on the phone that's an encrypted app, an unplugged encrypted app. So you would... Like, how many people have that fucking thing? You know, like if you're going to contact someone who has it, like it should be something like that, but even more classified. Like
Agreed.
you should have like a website. You'd probably have to do it on an Android phone because you'd have to download it through a third party or get some sort of a backdoor deal with Apple where they allow you to put it on the App Store where only you could get into it with a password or something. But how do you not have that?
Yeah.
It just seems insane. That you're using Signal? I use Signal. How the fuck are you using Signal? That's crazy.
Yeah.
You should have your own shit.
Yeah, and it just becomes about ego, man. It's like, this is my team, we're going to win at all costs.
Right.
And then once you start thinking that, you just go, well, if this person is challenging me, it doesn't matter how legitimate the challenge is actually. If I go and destroy them through whatever, even if it's an underhand means, my team still wins, that's okay.
But it's bad for everybody who's just like reluctantly on your team because they think the other team sucks more. Like now you're like, well, you guys are sucking close to them now.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
and that will happen over the next 4 years, I think.
100%.
Naturally.
Human beings. It's also, again, all these people are doing their job for the first time. You know, Kash Patel just started running the FBI. Like,
Yeah.
just started on the job. Like, what? And has security that's not FBI security because he doesn't trust the FBI security, so he gets his own security. What? Like, imagine that hostile environment.
Yeah.
And look, I want all these people to crush. I want them all to be incredibly successful at what they do in your country and in our
That's
country.
interesting.
Because it makes our country better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, and that's what, look, the vast majority of people, when it boils down to it, they don't care about team left, they don't care about team right. They just want a better country. I want a better America. I want to come to America and go, this is the greatest country in the world. And I want to come to Britain and go, this is the greatest country in the world. I mean, we'd never say that because we're British, but I mean, if someone said that in Britain, you're like, dude, you're mentally ill.
I
Come
think
on.
Ellen DeGeneres just said it.
The Britain's the greatest country in the world.
She's one there.
Yeah.
Well, give her a couple of years.
Yeah, and she'll soon get disavowed of that notion.
I think she's already in a squabble with her neighbors. She is. Like, she was doing some construction. It was already an issue.
Yeah, I mean, there is nothing more British than that. Someone coming around and going, have you got approval for that? We're going to need to see
Yeah.
10 reams of 10 documents. Have you signed? Have you? That's exactly what we do.
It's a whole country of homeowners associations.
Yeah.
Everybody hates homeowners associations. They always give you a hard time about your lawn or whatever the fuck it is. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
You can't paint it that color. We have guidelines.
Yeah. But that's, look, I think that's what everybody here wants. I want America to be incredible, great, a brilliant country.
Yeah.
I want that for my country as well. And I'll be honest with you, I always normally sided with the left because I thought that was a way of doing it. But right now, I don't care. I just want the best people to come out and work for the country. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to say dumb stuff. I say dumb stuff. You're going to put in procedures that don't work. We all get that. But what I want and what I think the vast majority of people want is people not on Team X or Team Y, but on Team Britain and Team America.
Yeah. You know, there's that saying, show me a young man who's not a liberal, and I'll show you. Who said that?
Churchill.
Churchill. And show me an old man who's not a conservative, and I'll show you one with no brain. I don't necessarily think you have to give up on people. Like, the idea is that at a certain point in time, you realize, like, that too many people are too fucked up, and you have to have more conservative values because that's the only way society can function. But that's like kind of cynical. The idea is that you can't be like an actual, true, kind, progressive person and be successful at life deep into your 60s and 70s. Like, of course you can. It totally can be done. Like, there's real, genuinely kind, compassionate people out there that are intelligent and they're not weak. This is not that.
No.
And there's a lot of people that are LARPing. There's a lot of people that are pretending they're progressive, pretending they're kind, and really they're the fucking people keying Teslas. There's a lot of people out there that are just aping this position that they're in. They're faking it.
I think that's one of the big fundamental debates between left and right. Thomas Sowell has a great book about this called Conflict of Visions. It's really fundamentally about what you see as the truth about human nature. The right thinks human nature is imperfect, and that's what it is, and you have to deal with that reality. Some people are going to be criminals, some people are going to be drug addicts, some blah, 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 blah. And the left, particularly at the extreme ends, thinks in a utopian way. Everything is changeable, everything is perfectible, everybody can be improved.
Anybody can be a woman.
Anybody can become a woman.
Yeah.
and that's where you get like, the homelessness problem in America. Partly is about that. It's about the idea, well, we'll shut down these terrible, and they were terrible, mental institutions, right?
Right.
And then we give people freedom. Because anybody can handle freedom, right? The freedom is great in and of itself. It's wonderful. And then you leave mentally ill people and drug-addicted people on the streets where they have a horrible life, And that's really the big difference. Whereas the right, obviously, it really believes in this idea that human nature is corrupted, I suppose. And you have to put things in place to manage that. And both those extremes can go in the wrong direction. And that's why you need a balance between the two.
Yeah.
You can't have like one party dominate. And I think the good thing about the Republicans getting into office is it forces Democrats to be better.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, I would love for some like reasonable Democrat to come along, but I think make a lot of sense. It'd be great. It'd be great if some people just come to the center. Let's just be reasonable about stuff. It doesn't this idea that you have to become a conservative as you get older. Like, why? Who says that? Why?
There are moments like the homelessness situation in this country is so crazy, but there's moments where it's just really funny. We were walking down the street in DC, and there was this lady, and she was obviously very mentally unwell. She looked at me, and then she went Ashkenazi, and then said something which was a clearly anti-Semitic slur. Wow. And I was like, whoa, and then looked at Constantine and went,
Biracial bitch. That's what I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you guys do to cause this?
Nothing. We're just walking down the street.
Wow.
Yeah. See, we walk around a lot in America, which I think most people drive here, so we encounter a lot of that. In every major city that we've been to, there is a hell of a lot of people who are just mentally ill, man. That's what they are. And they need help.
Yeah.
They don't need to be there with a fucking shopping cart on the street with all their belongings out of their brains.
I think we need to scoop them up, put them in the factory, get them to work, do what China does. They're smart. Imagine if that was my real solution. I mean, China does do that, right? Like, you don't see homeless people on the street in China. They don't tolerate any of that shit. Which is, you would go there and go, oh, it's better here. But, okay, at what cost?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with San Francisco when it gets that bad? What do you do?
You invite Xi Jinping over, they clean the streets right up, man.
Immediately. And the best thing was how Newsom described. He's like, well, when your friends come to visit, you clean up the house. Like, well, how about you just keep your house clean, you fucking psycho?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's doing an interesting pivot at the moment, isn't he, Gavin
right.
Newsom?
300 million people in the country, home to 1.4 billion Chinese are homeless.
What?
No. There's only 1 billion people plus in China. 300 million. Oh, I missed the first part that you didn't highlight it. So it's estimated that 300 million people are homeless.
What?
Okay.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
crazy. In the whole country.
Yeah, I remember when I went
That's
to
called camping in China.
Well, let's not emulate them then.
Yeah.
Are they counting nomads? Are they counting people that live in yurts? That's interesting.
Yours seems like a house.
Kind of cloth houses. You know, the Mongols, they hated houses. They ruled over the people who lived in felt tents. Yeah. 300 million homeless people.
Have you been to China, Joe?
Wow, look at that. No, crazy. Not going there. Fuck that.
It's an interesting country. I went there.
I'm sure.
Do you know, like, I went there in 2006 in Beijing, and the pollution was so bad, you couldn't really see the sun at midday. The sun was like an orange lozenge in the sky.
So that's an example we were talking about before.
Yeah.
You know, like you're dying younger if you live there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. That's probably like smoking packs of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Packs.
Yeah.
For everybody. Everybody, your little baby, smoking packs of cigarettes.
And it's so interesting when you go there as well. Like, I remember we were driving down the road, and China is just this kind of The roads is that everybody cuts each other up. Everybody's trying to get one up on the other one. It's complete chaos. Like you're driving down, someone will literally cut in front of you. The person will cut in front of them, cut in front of them. And that's how it is. Until the secret police drive by in their cars and they make this sound. They go, and then everybody falls into line, drives perfectly. The secret police car just glides through. Everybody's on their best behavior. Then the car goes and everyone's back to going. Wow. And you're like, that is fascinating.
That's how you get control of people. That's what I'm saying. Digital currency, social credit score. Let's get it together. This is a 50-lane holiday traffic jam in China. Oh my God, I have so much anxiety right now.
Does that remind you of LA, Joe?
Look, they're all going through a checkpoint. They have to all go through a checkpoint. That's what the traffic jam's about. Look how they went through the checkpoint.
12-day-long
traffic jam. But did you see how they go through the checkpoint and they're flying through? See, they all go through this.
I'm guessing it's a toll road, right?
Yes, it's a toll station. 3 hours to pass through the toll stations. 50 lanes passing through the toll stations. Oh my God, imagine you're in a Tesla and you see your battery life going down. You're like, oh my God, I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked. Look at this.
Wow.
Look at this. This is insane. Insane. And then there's a bottleneck getting out. Oh my God. Oh, that's what happens. Too many people, too much control.
Yeah.
Japan's interesting. You've been to Japan?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but briefly. I was just there for UFC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You feel like if you want to go somewhere and you want to feel like an uncultured, uneducated barbarian, Japan's a great
They
place.
sent me up to my room to go put on a long sleeve shirt to hit the gym.
Tattoos.
Tattoos.
Yeah.
You can't have exposed tattoos.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was working out with tattoos and they told me, no.
are your tattoos Yakuza tattoos?
No, but this one is Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah.
Who's that?
The Book of Five Rings. The samurai that killed 60 men in unarmed combat and wrote a book on strategy.
Uh-huh.
You never read the Book of Five Rings? Wow. It's one of the great philosophy books of all time because it's by this guy that was one of the greatest samurais ever, and he was a ronin, so he was like traveling the earth, having duels with people, and killed 62 men in one-on-one duels and wrote about the importance of balance. He's like, to be a great samurai, you have to be a great artist, you have to be great at calligraphy, you have to be a poet, you have to, like, everything you do, you have to do to the best of your ability. You can have no holes in your game as a human being in order to survive and keep your shit together, and one-on-one sword fighting. He got to the point where he was so bored killing people that he started killing people with oars. So he would carve an oar and like take down the flat part and just make it a pole, and they would have a sword, and he would fight them with an oar and beat them to death with the oar. Like this big old fucking pole, and they have a sword, and he's fucking them up because he's bored killing people with swords. He just wants to bludgeon someone with a sword to death instead of. It's like he would show up hours late so they'd be shitting their pants. They knew they were supposed to duel Musashi at like 8 a.m. and he'd show up around noon.
With an oar.
And they'd be a fucking nervous wreck because he knew he wasn't going to sword fight until noon. So he's probably chilling on his boat, relaxing. And they're, all right, I'll get down there. So he rows down there, pulls out one of his fucking carved oars and beats you to death.
Well, Joe, if the Prime Minister of Britain bans oars, it's your fault, mate.
But his book is amazing. So I don't know. I think it's any tattoo. Where I got sent up to my room. I don't think you can have exposed tattoos in this fine establishment.
Yeah, I think it's because I've got Japanese style tattoos. I think it's the association between tattoos and Yakuzas.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. Yeah,
You know.
yeah, and I'm sure a lot of Yakuzas have Musashi tattoos.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm not in Yakuza. But I do know a guy who had a long relationship with them. Who was an elite UFC fighter back in the day, and he lives in Japan. And he's had like a bunch of run-ins with Yakuzas.
Has he still got his fingers?
He does. He's managed to keep his fingers. I don't think he's Bill Romanowski, the football player. He has a company.
Yeah,
He's got really good stuff. It's called Neuro One, and it's like a scoop. You just mix it in water and blend it up or whatever, and it's And I tried. I was on a radio station in San Francisco. They gave it to me. I was like, this is great. Where can you get this? Like, it really does. Like, give you a little pick-me-up. Just, but not like 5 shots of espresso. You're like, ah. It's just like a little edge of focus.
Yeah, I could use a little memory booster. I don't sleep well enough. I'm really gonna try to fix that.
What are you gonna do to fix it?
You're gonna be really proud of me. You ready?
Okay,
You
I'm ready.
prepared? I'm gonna be taking. I have a jujitsu class on Monday. my first
Really?
one. Yeah.
That'll help you sleep.
I think
You'll
so.
probably go to sleep a bunch of times in class.
Yeah. I actually do not have a neck for like a chokehold kind of sport. Like I'm 30% neck.
Well, that is a large target, but my advice would be just to take it easy, slowly at first. How old are you now?
26.
You look great.
I look like shit.
You
26.
look great. Just go slowly. That's
Yeah.
my advice. Don't try to go too fast, especially if you have been working out hard. Have you been working out hard?
Not and then no.
Yeah.
The answer's no to that.
So that means, your joints are not going to be the most resilient. Don't try to do it all at once. That's my thing. With that, but
don't
that's,
worry
by
about
the way,
that.
that's with everything. If like, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. Hey. Have you
Yeah.
ever run before? No, I don't run at all.
Right.
Okay. Let's not run a marathon. Let's run a mile. Let's do 1 mile, which is a lot if you haven't run. A mile is a lot. If you do not run, a mile is a lot.
Yeah.
But you can't just run a marathon. And if you're gonna do jiu-jitsu, like, start slow. Don't try to do a 2.5-hour session. I'm gonna roll with 5 guys today. Like, learn an arm bar. Learn how to tap. Okay, this is a triangle.
I told them like, give me the most beginner thing.
Oh, yeah, they have to do it that way. Everyone's gonna do it that way. Nobody teaches you like flying triangles the moment you get into the class. They teach you beginner stuff like this
Good.
is the mount, this is side control, this is the guard. They
Yeah.
teach you like simple basics.
It's good for confidence too, I hear.
Oh yeah,
You can fight.
it'll help a lot. It does, but it's great for stress relief because no matter what your day is, it will never be as stressful as some dude mounting you, trying to choke you unconscious.
This is
Because
now.
if you fight that off and then you're done with your class, like regular stuff is like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Some crazy homeless guy, man, fuck you. You're like, fuck
Yeah, I'll
you too,
fuck
bye,
you up.
take care. You don't want to, you don't even want to be in any, you don't have this desire to puff your chest out like a lot of people do. It's like, stop.
Now you're proud of me for doing this. Now you're about to be not proud of me. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. This is
It's a
another
girls'
thing.
class. It's all women's
I
jiu-jitsu.
would not
I'm
even
gonna
want
dye
that.
my hair
I don't want to
blue.
get boners when I'm like. I would
You're
not want that.
a woman. You're not gonna get a boner.
No, if I'm.
You're
there.
a woman, Kyle.
Aren't I?
Don't let
Oh, I keep
anybody ever
forgetting.
tell you different.
Thank you so much.
Don't
for
let
not
anyone.
misidentifying
Don't let
me.
anyone deny your
Thank you.
humanity.
I'm a ma'am.
No, what am I not gonna get? What am I gonna get upset about?
I'm also taking a pickleball class.
I like pickleball. You know who plays pickleball every day?
Wait, let me guess. 20 questions.
It's the only time I've ever let you ask. Every time I jump in.
I'm gonna say Duncan Trussell takes pickleball.
He might, but that's not who I was thinking
Ooh,
of.
yeah.
Kid Rock plays
shit.
pickleball every day.
I love it. Any kind of like racket ball sport.
He goes, yeah, every day. I get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, a fucking trainer comes over, play pickleball. I'm like, every day? It's like, every day. I love it.
I want that kind of money where I can just pay out to come over and play pickleball.
Yeah, it was a trainer. Got a trainer. Probably teaching him. I bet he's a pickleball wizard now. He probably knows how to do the secret moves. Slice the ball.
I'll destroy
Would
Kid
you?
Rock at pickleball.
You
I'll
think so?
destroy that
Let's set
guy.
it up.
He's a clown.
Whoa.
Kid Rock is
Whoa.
a clown.
I can't believe you're calling him out like this on my
Dude,
show.
I'm just saying,
Look at
I don't
him
think you've
with
got
the
it in
president.
him.
He brought Bill
That same
Maher
shirt.
to the White House. I have
Okay,
that underwear
there
on. He brought Bill Maher to the White
Yeah,
House,
he
and they
is-
had dinner with the
Are we
president.
in like a Mad Libs episode? With,
I hope so. I hope so. I'm scared of this tariff stuff because it's radical change. I'm scared of radical
I think.
change.
Well, let me tell you what I think, and I don't know anything.
Good. We don't. Both of us don't
Okay,
know.
good.
This is a perfect
Good,
time
good,
to
good.
speculate
Okay.
about the economy.
This is all his negotiating. It's gonna come down. It's not gonna stay like this. The bad thing will be is if all the other countries go, "Fuck you, America. We're not gonna do any. We're not gonna."
It's always a
negotiate."
possibility.
Then that's a problem.
It's always a possibility. Also, you're not nearly as charming if people can't speak your language. Like Trump is used to
Right.
being able to charm people.
Yeah.
He's very charming. But if you can't speak his language,
Might look. Yeah. Might be
you're
really
like,
bad.
fuck this orange asshole.
It's like
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't even know this guy. What is
Yeah.
he saying? And someone has to tell you what he said. Like, it's not cute when
Yeah.
Boris Yovanovitch has to translate
It doesn't-
in your ear.
it doesn't
Mr.
translate.
Putin, he says, these tariffs, this is bullshit. It's
He
part
says
of
it's
the game.
most terrific thing.
It's
like,
part of the card game. We
it's
are playing all together globally.
It's like, the woman's from like Poland. She's like, oh, you're a comedian, tell a joke. And you're like, no, you're not going to find this funny. I can't tell you a joke. Tell a joke.
Let
Do
me
a
tell
joke.
you first about the history of my country and
Okay.
suffering.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how many
We
people
had
stall and
already.
starve to death. And then you
Nothing
tell me
wrong.
your cute little fucking
Yes.
joke.
In my village. Yeah, I've had that happen to me recently. I was like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. When people ask me if they don't know who I am genuinely, the easiest one to say is I do commentary for the UFC.
Oh, that's good. That's one.
Because if I say podcast,
Well, people know you now. I mean,
some people don't know me.
Away
It's
with that.
nice. Every now and then I get a person who doesn't know who I am, like some old fella.
Oh, an old fella.
What do you do?
Yeah. What do you do, son?
I do commentary for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and then they look at you sideways like, what?
That's still though could be a
Still.
conversation. Here's what I do on like a plane. I go. I work with computers. And they're like,
Ooh,
oh, that always
that's good.
shuts
That
it down.
ends it.
Finances too.
Yeah,
What
but if I
finance-
want to have a conversation with someone, if I don't mind having a conversation
Yeah.
with them, I just don't want to explain the whole thing.
I forget you do UFC commentary. That's another great job.
That's a job. That's
You
the
have
only
all the great
job. I have all
jobs.
the great jobs, but that's the only job I have. That's an actual job where someone pays me. Like I show up, I
Alright.
work for somebody. I'm an employee.
Yeah.
You know, I sign up.
Is there something you want to do that you haven't done?
No.
Are you looking? You
No,
have
I'm not looking to do
a,
anything.
you have a goal? Do you
No,
have
I have
something?
0 goals.
Zero goal. What
I
about
like-
retiring and
I
traveling
don't
the
have
world?
any retirement ideas. No,
Pyramids? You ever see those?
I want to see pyramids.
I do too, but I think what's going to happen is you go, oh, there they are, and now you're like
I don't think so.
20
I've been obsessed
hour.
with the pyramids since I was like a little boy.
Can you go in them now at all?
Yes,
You
go in.
can?
Yeah, you can go in
Okay.
them. And if I went, I'd hopefully be able to get someone to guide me, like a really good
I could,
person.
I could
You know how to
guide
do it?
you.
Could you do it as Caitlyn Jenner though?
Yeah, baby. This is where the guy died. Yeah.
Imagine we filmed that.
Yeah, he was buried with his dog. Yeah.
Have you seen this whole controversy? They think that there's like these enormous
What is
structures.
that? This is.
I don't know, but there's a guy named Jimmy Corsetti. He has this great YouTube show called Bright Insight. He's been on my show many times. Very smart guy and very reasonable guy, and also is a huge believer that there's a missing chapter in ancient history. He doesn't believe it. He thinks it ignores something that everyone knows. There's this enormous water table that's underneath the pyramids. So the pyramids, there's water underneath the pyramids, and Mr. Beast apparently on his YouTube thing that he did with the pyramids went into the water. So they were all in the water, splashing around the water. So this water table, yeah. So underneath the pyramids, there's water that flows. And
That
it's been
seems
there for like,
unstable to me.
yeah, they
in
should
my
have thought
engineering mind.
to talk to you before they built that 5,000 years ago.
Is it 5, 10?
It's probably more. It's probably a lot more. If I had to guess, I think they're wrong. I think the hieroglyphs that are on the wall that depict pharaohs leading back to 30,000 plus years is probably accurate.
I really want to know how they built those. I think that's you see some of those stones are so. I don't believe aliens or I don't believe that have that. I think people built that. But how did they get some of those stones up there?
Well, I was watching this guy.
Who's the
I'll tell you who this guy is because shout out to him because he had a very interesting take on it. I watch a lot of these like silly YouTube videos that are all on like ancient history and ancient civilizations and stuff like that. But this one was really kind of interesting.
Fat people falling down.
And this guy is, I'll send it to you, Jamie. His name is Michael Button, and he had a very good point. And his point is that there's this linear path between like cave person and what we are today. But he's saying, but human beings in the form that we exist in today have essentially been around for at least 315,000 years. And there's all these large height, like peaks and dips in the historical timeline of the temperature of the Earth. And in these peaks of temperature, you have all this growth and change, and then you have ice ages, and you have drop-offs, and then there's cataclysms and natural disasters, and he brings up the volcano eruption, the Toba volcano eruption. But what he's essentially saying is human beings in this form, with the minds that we have existed for 300,000 years. With the capacity. But yet, only over the last few thousand years have we seen all this progress. And he thinks, what he's proposing is, if there was a super advanced civilization 100,000 years ago, there would be almost nothing left. So we're supposing that what we find is all that's ever been. What he's saying is, if you imagine 200,000 years of development of technology, of tools, of agriculture, all the different things that could have happened in those 200,000 years, that you could have had an insanely advanced society 200,000 years ago, and then it gets completely wiped out. Then 115 to 150, depending on who you ask, 1,000 years later, you start seeing what we've seen in the last few hundred years.
Okay, I'm gonna push back on
Please
that.
do.
Wouldn't they have some metal?
No, all they would have.
Steel?
This is what he's talking about. When you have enormous spans of time, all you have left is stone. You have rocks.
Where
It's
does the
really
steel go?
just disintegrates. It all goes away. It all just gets absorbed by the earth. Like
What
when
the-
you know, there's very little metal that is gonna, like any forged, like if you have a knife and you leave that knife under the ground, just the earth will erode it. You know, a few thousand years, it's gone. Just the,
Oh, so they probably had combustion engines.
Here, look at steel takes approximately 50 to 500 years to decompose, depending on the type of it and environmental conditions, with stainless steel potentially taking over 1,000 years. So just imagine something that's 100,000 years old. You got nothing. There's nothing left. And he makes this very interesting argument in this video that I never considered before. It's just the timeline of human beings being human beings. And he's like, what was it? Why was there this great leap in technology? And it is completely possible that there was great leaps hundreds of thousands of years ago. But then the question is, like, what happened to us? How did we get so far ahead of all these other creatures? How did we get so far ahead?
I know you
of
talk
everything?
about like we're like this much smarter than a monkey.
I mean,
Oh, we have most genes. Most of our genes are chimpanzee genes. Most of them.
what are the things under the pyramids or pillars? What is that?
I don't know what they're seeing. See, it's some sort of satellite ground penetrating. Is it a radar? A type of radar, Jamie? What do they call them? So they have these images. The problem is also these guys are Italian, so they're saying it in Italian. And so I don't know exactly what they're saying. I'm just reading the translation. I want to hear their voice. I want to hear if they sound wacky. Everybody is talking in Italian.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful. But you could say nonsense shit with an Italian accent. It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Because I don't speak Italian. You know?
Beautiful language.
Beautiful language. So these images that show these feet, look, if it's real and that stuff is under the water table, that's actually even fucking crazier.
Right.
Explain the collected acoustics from deep in the ground, including seismic waves, noise from human activity, and photon interactions to map newly found shafts and chambers that extend more than 2,000 feet below the surface. Biondi said these waves were collected by radar, specifically by analyzing Doppler centroid abnormalities, shifts or distortions in frequency patterns used to detect underground structures or changes. However, Professor Lawrence Conyers, a radar expert at University of Denver, who specializes in archaeology and was not involved in the study, still raised doubts. He said photon interactions, this is science fiction, and frequency shifts of what? He said we now have 3 different energy sources moving around: radar, electromagnetic, sound, seismic, and light photons. This is all gobbledygook. Sounds like he didn't get invited to the party. I heard that guy's a furry. No, I didn't really hear that. I made that up. I'm sorry, sir. But show me the images of what they believe that they found, because if it is a real thing, if you really do have these, I mean, the 3D images, like, they really stepped out of line drawing it so clearly.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what you see. You're honey dicking me. But
They gotta dig.
Dogs got eaten by coyotes.
That's the thing actually I love about America is your wildlife. It's wild. It's wild. I was with Red Band doing his gig, The Secret Show, and he showed me footage from his garden. They had a mountain lion, a cougar, come in. No, it wasn't a cougar, it was a wildcat.
Bobcat?
Bobcat,
Yeah.
that was it. A bobcat came into his garden. This thing is like a small puma, and it had its cubs with it. It was incredible.
Yeah, they're cute. It's wild.
Yeah.
In Texas is you've got a bunch of like weird stuff that people bring in here too. You know?
Like what?
Well, there's more Texas. Like, Texas has more tigers in captivity in private collections than all of the wild of Earth. Just Texas.
Do you know, Francis, we forget something. This country is fucking wild.
Country's crazy. There's more people with tigers in their fucking backyards in Texas than there are in the wild of Earth.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's real. That's a fact. And then there's all sorts of other shit that you can have here too, like exotic animals from Africa. There's animals that are endangered in the land that they're from, but you can hunt them.
You know, my dad in the 70s used to work for the council in East London, like local government, and he was saying that there was a guy who owned a scrapyard and was so pissed that people were stealing scrap, he bought on the black market a lion to guard his scrapyard.
Oh, that's a good move.
And just chained it up. When
He
it was
bought a lion on the black market.
Yeah.
That does not sound true to me, mate. I'm going to fact check that shit.
I think you could have a lion here too. You just have to have a permit. Make sure your lock's good. You got a good lock for the lion? Yes, sir. It's a master lock made in America. Fuck yeah, it is. All right. Well, have a good one.
Can you imagine
lion
jumping over into someone's yard because you want to steal something and you're confronted by a lion?
Yeah. Imagine if you're one of those poor migrants that's wandering through Texas and you accidentally hop the wrong fence and you go into the lion encampment, whatever the fuck they have. Like, I would imagine they have ceilings on these places, hopefully, which is like the San Francisco story. You know, where those kids were throwing pine cones at the tiger and the tiger jumped over the fucking fence because they didn't realize that the fence was only like 12 feet high and a tiger can jump 14 feet high. They got out and killed these kids. Killed one kid. I don't think it actually killed the kid that was throwing the pine cone. It killed his friend or something like that. So I forget exactly what the story was, but
You never stand around when someone's doing stupid shit, huh?
Well, how about put a roof? How about put a roof over where you have the monster? How about if the monster can jump, make sure that there's a roof.
Yeah, also don't wind up the monster.
Yeah.
Don't take the piss.
But if you're one of those migrants that wanders through the desert, you know, and you make it across the river and you don't know exactly where you're going, you don't have a good sense of direction, you wind up on some guy's property.
Is that still going on, or has that been stopped now?
Well, it's been stopped. I wouldn't say it's been stopped. I think it's been radically diminished. I think, what is the numbers of how many people are getting through now? It was from thousands to less than 100 a day. Maybe a little bit more than that. It's hard to know, really, right? 'Cause, like, what are they're guessing. Like, these are the people who didn't get caught, so how do you know how many there are? But they do know that there's not this giant line of people that just are assuming they can get in and walk through, and they were just letting them do that. Which is, there's no reasonable argument why that makes any sense. There's no matter how kind you are and compassionate and how much you think these people from a third world country deserve the American dream, that's great. But let's find out if they're murderers. Let's find out if they're gang members. Let's find out if they're hitmen for the cartel. Like, we just letting everything open. Why would you do that? There's no rational explanation for that other than you've got some sort of nefarious plan. If you're forcing that, trying to stop the enforcement of that, you must have some sort of nefarious plan, because it can't be good to let more criminals into the country. It can't be good. And inevitably, if you have an open border, a percentage of them are going to be criminals, especially if they're coming from crime-infested parts of the world. It's a high likelihood.
Well, we actually just had a report in the UK which shows that for a long time people were saying actually these people commit crime at a lower level.
Who said that? Why would they say that?
Oh, people say that all the time when they defend illegal immigration.
It's such a fucking bullshit argument. Yeah. It's such a bullshit argument. Because, yeah, a lot of them, I bet, don't. 94% fewer illegal border crossings detected from February 25th versus February 2024.
I guess by the, when they actually
Bust
stop
them.
Yes.
Right. That's a big number. 94% is good. So there's still people coming through.
Yeah.
And there's probably still people coming through that are criminals.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, like, you got to get scared that people who are not criminals are getting, like, lassoed up and deported and sent to, like, El Salvador prisons, like that kind of shit. Because I read some story. Was it Glenn Greenwald?
It was.
Yeah. The gay barber guy.
Yeah.
It's scary, man.
Is that true? Is that story accurate?
I don't think we
Can
know.
you explain the story for people who don't know?
Well, from what I read, I think it was in Time magazine, Jamie, if you can pull it up, maybe we can get it accurate. But basically, with a bunch of these Tren de Aragua guys, allegedly they got one guy at least one guy who wasn't a criminal, who was just a gay barber who I think, according to the story, came here legally. He was here legally. That's what they said. Don't know if it's
did
true.
he have a green card?
I don't know what the details are. Maybe Jamie can find it.
No criminal record.
From what it said in that story. Now, this is the problem, right? Because the mainstream media has been putting out so much shit that I don't know what to believe anymore, right?
I feel the same way.
It's and so it's difficult, but it's something that we actually brought up in one of our conversations. We interviewed the guy from the Heritage Foundation. We brought this up because I think we talked about this with Doge as well. When you do things quickly and you do things aggressively, that's how you get shit done. But that's also when mistakes get made.
Right.
And I think a human being plucked out of nowhere and ending up in a country he's never been in a maximum security prison with gang members, seems like a bad thing to happen to me.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
I don't think that should be controversial.
No, that's not controversial at all. And this is the thing, measured twice, cut once. This is kind of crazy. That could be possible. That's horrific, and that's bad for the cause. Like, the cause is, let's get the gang members out. Everybody agrees. But let's not innocent gay hairdressers get lumped up with the gangs, and then, like, how long before that guy can get out? Like, can we figure out how to get him out? Is there any plan in place to alert the authorities that they've made a horrible mistake and correct it?
Well, if you think about it from a government perspective, and this is where I think it gets quite sinister, is once you've done that, the incentive structure is never going to be to admit that and deal with it. The incentive structure is to say nothing, to cover it up, to pretend it didn't happen, right?
That is horrible.
So someone ends up in a black hole. But we've seen it. We've seen it in every country, including in America.
But that's the thing about politics, right? Never admit your fault. Never admit you're wrong.
It's so dumb.
And this is the thing we're seeing with the signal thing, and this is the thing we're seeing with this. It's like, I don't know if it's been brought to their attention. I mean, I would assume someone's alerted them to the fact that they might have rounded up this just random hairdresser and accused him of being a gang member.
Did you find a story, Jamie?
But
Time magazine.
The thing is, it's like, what steps can be taken? Does prison know now? Does everybody? Can they talk to that guy? Can they pull him out of there?
Well, this is it. It's a maximum security. It's a maximum security prison. So the answer, I think, is we don't know at this moment. But
what
look,
is his life like in there, man? I mean,
Yeah,
But
it's horrific.
fuck.
But
Horrific.
this is also a large part of why this happened is because of illegal immigration. So you had this, and look, I'm half Venezuelan. You had Tren de Aragua, which causes chaos in Venezuela. It comes to the US, it causes horrendous amounts of chaos in the US, and that's awful. But also as well is then ordinary, decent, hard-working Venezuelans who all they want to do, their entire country has gone to shit, who have come here legally. They just want to work, they want to get ahead, they have jobs, they just have got families, they're trying to make ends meet. And all of a sudden, all you hear is Venezuelan does this, Venezuelan does that, and you're like, oh my God, man. It tars all of us with that brush.
Right.
I was walking in New York and I saw this group of this Venezuelan family, and they were there begging for money and for whatever else. And maybe it just hits harder because they're from where I'm from or where my mum's from. And you just go, it just tarnishes all of us with the same brush.
Right.
When the reality is, like we were saying before, most of them are just good, decent, hard-working people. But because you don't have checks and balances in place, because you're not letting people, you're not vetting people, you're getting the worst of society, and the worst of society gives everybody else a bad name.
Gives everybody a bad name, but it also, you have to wonder why that's being tolerated. Is that being done on purpose? Do you want more crime and more civil unrest? Is this part of your role? Why else would you do this? Why do you want to disrupt society in this way and allow this to take place, allow the possibility of some sort of a gang attack or anything horrible to happen? What is this, Jamie? Oh, this is it?
There's one in Forbes as
Time.
well, Jamie.
This is
in
from
Forbes.
Time magazine. A photojournalist was on hand in El Salvador as prison guards beat a man who is likely to be Andy, a gay Venezuelan barber makeup artist who is seemingly falsely accused of being a gang member and renditioned by the Trump administration with literally no due process. So they have a photograph that looks like this guy. A young man sobs when the guard pushed him to the floor. He said, "I'm not a gang member. I'm gay. I'm a barber." I believed him. He began to whimper as his head was roughly shaved, folding his hands in prayer as his hair fell. He asked for his mother and cried as he was slapped again. Jesus Christ.
I sent you the Forbes story, John. Your phone, if you can forward it to Jamie, maybe you can pull it up. Yeah. And it, yeah. Glenn commented on it, but there is a Forbes story that I sent.
I found out about it.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's awful that, you know, because you put yourself in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
And what's terrifying about that is that you think about what that poor guy is going through.
Yeah.
You know, if this story is real, what that guy is going through, that is literally the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
That's literally the stuff of nightmares. You have no recourse to any type of justice. There's no due process. You get rounded up. You then get kicked out of the country. You're in a maximum security prison with some of the most vicious gang members.
What to know about Andrew, 31-year-old makeup artist, falsely deported to El Salvador prison, lawyer says. Immigration attorney say a gay Venezuelan makeup artist seeking asylum in the U.S. was wrongly detained as a gang member and deported to El Salvador. The case becoming a flashpoint in the debate over the Trump administration's deportation of hundreds of migrants to a notoriously inhumane El Salvador mega prison. So again, it's hard to know
It's hard to know.
what's real and what's not real, but if it is real, this is fucking horrible.
But if you think about it, Joe, like I say, if you're rounding up hundreds of people, mistakes are going to get made because everyone's human.
100%.
And you then have to have a system, I think, that allows you to amend and make adjustments for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can't be bury your head in the sand and
No.
pretend it didn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
And this is the trouble with government. The incentive structure is all wrong. Like, to admit that is now embarrassing,
That's crazy.
right? And it's scary. We have the same problem in the UK in terms of the illegal immigration. And if we ever get a government that's going to deal with that, we're also going to have to remove a lot of people who are there illegally. They shouldn't be there. A lot of them are. And, you know, like I said, we had a report that shows they're way more likely to commit sexual crimes, way more likely to commit violent crimes, they're way more likely to commit all sorts of crimes. We are going to have to remove them, but you have to do it in a way where there's due process and a respect.
Are they
for
trying to remove them in England?
No. They're saying they are, but they're not.